and will oppose any effort to undo his agenda.
Fox's Ronnie Schmelz in Washington. The report could make a smaller rate hike more likely at the Fed's December meeting. Right now, the Dow's up 780. Control of the U.S. Senate remains up in the air as votes are counted.
Ballots continue to roll into county election offices across Nevada after Election Day.
The mail can come through until this.
Walk around the track.
Wow. See,
We might have to tell that story on the air.
Yeah.
Like
you're on, for the record.
Oh,
Just want to make sure that you are 100% aware.
Story. You want the non-athletic kids to play more.
Yeah, they just.
Not if you're an athletic kid.
Yeah. But the coach,
sometimes
get them involved.
Like athletic kids can non-athletic kids.
Let's do the pre-show. We'll actually have this conversation on the
We'll have
air.
this conversation later.
Not have to say it on air.
Welcome to the Thursday show, November 10th. Longest week of my life. Just being honest here. All right, the YouTube poll is asking, where do you cast the most blame for the missed race? For candidates, Republican leadership, poor polling, or media? I think this might be the most enticing poll question we've had, maybe ever.
We're gonna pick a few fights, I think.
I think we are. I'm expecting a lot of fiery
Blood?
comments. Yep.
Sweat and tears.
1225 Hans is going to be on with us. 1245 Freedom America. Do you want to tell everybody about what's going on in one?
I'm going to propose the idea that these swing elections, these big swing elections, are not something we're going to see much more of. So I'll explain.
What's happening in the 1 o'clock hour?
Oh, in the 1 o'clock hour. So we got Tyrus on the show, usually always at 107.
Did you guys know what they talked about on Gutfeld last night?
No.
I did not.
I know.
How unfunny SNL is and how much they could make it funnier and what they need to do to make it funnier. I'm like, I messaged Brad, who I knew was asleep. I was like, good grief, they're having the same conversation we had. And it was a good conversation.
Did we have that conversation on the air, or was
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like multiple segments.
But I messaged you guys earlier, like right before that ended up happening, like here are some people who, because Kevin Costner.
So that came first?
I messaged the list first, but that was a continuation of a conversation we had already had. I didn't message that out of the blue. We had the conversation about who do you think would be willing to go on a Fox News version of Saturday Night Live and host the way people do on Saturday Night Live currently. And the thing that made me think about that is I was watching news coverage, and Kevin Costner's all over Fox Nation stuff. Kevin Costner and the Yellowstone audience, Kevin Costner would absolutely go
he would.
on something he might not be the first host, but he might be the 8th or 9th host, and people would watch that. So that was why I sent that message. And then here's a whole segment on Gutfeld show talking about the unfunniness of SNL and why they should do better.
Very interesting. Do you know who's hosting this weekend?
Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
That was why. That was
okay.
the lead. Yeah, and I will watch that. I'm not gonna set my calendar, but
yeah.
All right, I want to make sure we highlight our second guest in the 1 o'clock hour. It's going to be in studio. Erica Conway Harris is going.
My new Illinois state senator.
So
And me
excited.
too.
Republican. She's yours too.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Republican candidate that won in Illinois, one of a few, and she flipped a blue seat red. And she is our Illinois state senator. And she's coming in here, and she has apparently had some requests for interviews across the state. And she said, we're going on the Annie Frey show first. So we're going to welcome her in the studio.
That's very cool. Actually.
Thanks, Brad, for setting that up for us.
You are welcome.
I'm very excited for that. So that is going to be at 1:25. You don't want to miss that interview. I don't want to miss that interview. I'm really excited for that.
Where are you going to be? Where would you be? You're like required to not miss.
Sometimes she'll go out to the break room and she's hanging out smoking.
Yeah.
What are you smoking in Missouri now?
You smoke whatever you want now.
Is it?
Really? Oh,
Is
yeah,
it
Amendment
completely legal? Is recreational marijuana
and
legal
is
now?
it now, or does it go into effect like Congress does in January? I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know.
That's why we don't talk about it on the air.
Yeah.
Should listen to the morning show
I
or
think
Mark Reardon
there's
show.
maybe even everybody in this building, us four, know the least.
We
about
are
that stuff.
so somebody asked me yesterday about it, or election day about it, and I was like, regardless of whether or not it's a constitutional amendment, I would
Doesn't
vote
change.
no on it because I am a turd.
Show!
Okay.
Show!
I'm a turd.
That's right.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
McConnell spent close to $400 million on these Senate candidates. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but that is a lot of money. And we didn't pick up a single seat. So either some of these candidates are garbage or the money's not being well spent. But Trump's sitting on a massive war chest in Mar-a-Lago. Where'd that money go? We don't know.
So this is a little bit of what we were talking about yesterday. Yesterday, I was mentioning that apparently some of those Trump-backed candidates, Mitch McConnell didn't support as much, but there's also a lot of concern about what Donald Trump has done with all the money that he raised so far on the campaign trail. Welcome to the Annie Frey Show. Happy that you are here with us on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis's home for conservative talk. You're in the right place. I'm going to start the show off today with today's YouTube live chat poll. So if you haven't, go ahead and go to the Annie Frey YouTube channel and you can vote, and then you can go back and listen to us on the radio or in your car or whatever. Here's today's poll. Where do you cast blame for the missed red wave? Now, yesterday I was telling you, listen, I know there wasn't a red wave, but there's still a lot to be thankful for in the outcome of the election. And there's still a possibility it's going to get even better. Nobody out there is really suggesting at this point that the Republicans aren't going to take the House. It isn't official results yet, but the understanding is the Republicans are going to take the House. That's a huge deal, and it should not be overlooked because expectations were set unrealistically high. So that's the good positive news. And you need to remember that that is good positive news, and that the next 2 years going forward with Nancy Pelosi in the minority, that things can be drastically different. That's a positive piece of information. That in the first 24 hours after the polls had closed, I think was being missed by quite a few people. However, there is another piece of information here that hasn't materialized. We don't know exactly how it's going to come about, and that's talking about the United States Senate. I'm looking at the Fox News results right now, the election results as they stand right now, and with the House of Representatives, there are 209 Republicans who have been called winners. We need 9 more for the majority. There are 41 seats left. They need 9 more seats out of 41 seats, and they are in the majority. The Democrats currently hold 185. 218 is the majority. In the Senate, there are 3 seats left to be determined. You have Georgia, which yesterday we heard on the show here, December 6th will be a runoff election between Raphael Warnock, the Democrat, and Herschel Walker, the Republican. So we're going to set that one aside for right now. The Republicans have 49 seats in the Senate right now. If Georgia is set aside, that leaves 2 seats left, Nevada and Arizona. When you look at the 2 seats that are left, Nevada has been and is currently being won by the Republican candidate Laxalt over the incumbent Democrat Cortez Masto. This is a very good opportunity for Republicans to secure the 50 seats that they need. And then the question is, do you get 1 out of Georgia or Arizona? 2 opportunities to pick up a red seat with the possibility, realistically, the possibility of picking up them both. There's a lot of confidence in the Kari Lake campaign in Arizona that they're not just going to win, but they're going to win comfortably. The votes just have to be counted. It's a little ridiculous. So we sit and we wait for these results to come in. However, you didn't really think when the conversation is swirling around, to use Joy Murdoch's phrase from yesterday, that this is not a red wave, it's more of a red whirlpool. We're just kind of dizzyingly spinning around going, what is going on here? You have to ask yourself some questions. You have to have a little introspection on why did we think it was going to be one way and it clearly wasn't. And this is a healthy exercise to do anytime expectations were set that were not met. So where do you cast the most blame for the missed red wave? And when I talk to you about the missed red wave, don't forget that the absence of a red wave doesn't conclude that it was a bad night. That the Republicans taking the House, and very much so potentially the Senate, is still an incredibly important and successful thing. You still have to look at the scoreboard. You have to look at the game plan and say, where did we miss the mark? So let's discuss that. Here are your options for today on the YouTube live chat poll. Where do you cast the most blame for the missed red wave? Poor candidates? We hear a ton of people discussing the possibility that, man, this candidate selection was terrible. Ben Shapiro talked about this issue.
Just because some out-of-the-box candidates are capable of defying gravity for a short period of time does not mean that they don't fly too close to the sun and the wings burn away. And that is what we are watching happen for virtually everybody in all parties. The American people are not up for crazy right now. They are sick of crazy. They are sick of volatile. They are sick of feeling uneasy about candidates. They're just not all that interested in that sort of stuff. And so if you pick bad candidates, you're going to lose.
Picking bad candidates. Boy, that's a subjective thing. Brad, wouldn't you say that what I would consider a good candidate might be you or Ryan?
Yeah.
I mean, in any given conversation, what defines a bad candidate?
Yeah, it's an incredibly subjective thing to talk about. But I think what defines a bad candidate is how they perform in the election. If they don't perform well, then it's probably because they're a bad candidate. Like Ben was saying there, the American people are sick of crazy. When I first listened to that cut of audio, the first thing I thought was, oh man, yeah, absolutely. I agree with that statement 100%. But what I perceive as crazy and what, the other voters out there perceive as crazy is a lot different. I look at Bernie Sanders. I say, that dude is crazy.
He's not a good candidate for you.
He is not a good candidate for me, but he keeps winning in Vermont. So he's a good candidate in Vermont.
Well, this is why you said poor candidates. This is why I want to challenge the thought on if they don't win, they must not be good candidates, because there are a lot of things that go into an election. There are a lot of things that go into a campaign. There is a candidate and there is a campaign. And those are very different things. Listen to what Jesse Waters has to say.
This early voting thing, Republicans have to get a handle on. We show up on Election Day, and Democrats show up weeks before Election Day, day after day after day. What's the Republican strategy on early voting? I don't know. Do you? I'd like to find out, because the Democratic machine in Philly and all over Pennsylvania is grinding out early votes at a crazy clip. And come Election Day, Republicans have a big mountain to climb. Unless we have a game plan for these mail-in ballots and early voting, this is deja vu.
What's the game plan? This comes to the second point, part of the second point that you may think should receive the most blame for where the red wave was missed: Republican leadership. And Republican leadership can be the Mitch McConnells and the Kevin McCarthys and the Tom Emmers. The Republican leadership can include Ronna McDaniel. The Republican leadership can include your local Republicans in St. Louis County or in the state of Illinois, the people who are putting together these campaigns and saying, here's the game plan, folks. Because listen, when you have a candidate come on the scene who isn't experienced in politics, what are they supposed to do? Is it possible that you would have the wisdom and the message and the dedication to serve as an elected official and not necessarily have the know-how on maneuvering a campaign trail? Very much so. Getting people into the political system that aren't a product of the political system, in my opinion, is one of the most important things to keeping this country represented by actual, real voting citizens who aren't a part of the other side of the machine. is the Republican leadership causing us to have a misguided understanding of who our candidates should be, how our candidates are being supported, and even furthermore, when Republican leadership disagrees with the will of the people in primaries or in a grassroots movement versus the Republican leadership, and after the primary coalescing and deciding this is what we got to do to come together to make Republicans victorious come Election Day. Are we seeing such severance between those parties of people, the old establishment Republican machine versus the newbies who come in, on fire for the cause, but maybe without a little bit of the wisdom of the people who have been doing this for so long? Is it possible that both sides have something to offer and both sides have something to learn from each other? So is it Republican leadership that is possibly causing a lot of this problem? I think that there are a lot of different ways that voters right now might be considering looking back. The hindsight is 2020 and saying, that candidate really wasn't that good. And if we would have just picked that candidate in the primary, we could have done a lot better. It's hard to go through that thought process and materialize it into anything substantive because it's all speculation. But if you listen to what Jesse Waters says there, what is the plan to combat or to participate in combat, to change the usage of that word, on the early voting field? Jesse Waters says, what is the Republicans' early voter plan? I mean, we said it yesterday. It'd be nice if Election Day was Election Day.
Absolutely.
And if we had absentee ballots.
Right.
But we're Illinois voters. That's not the game.
That's not the game. And to win the game, you've got to play by the rules of the game, which means that if you are wanting to win in Illinois as a Republican, you've got to play by the Illinois voting rules. And the Constitution says that the states get the right to determine how they conduct elections. So this is how Illinois is doing it. Therefore, you've got to beat them at their own game. You need a ground game. You need to go out there. You need to canvass for votes. You need to do all these things that we look at Democrats and say that's horrible that they're doing that. But if it's legal, if it's within the rules, then you've got to do it too. Otherwise, you're just going to get beat. It would be like playing football and you're like, I don't like the idea of the forward pass. But the forward pass is legal. So rather than using the forward pass...
we're not going to forward pass.
Yeah, we're not going to forward pass. We're going to run the ball.
Run
the ball and do laterals. You're going to get your butt whipped.
Yeah.
So you've got to learn to adapt to the game.
Yeah. Okay, so the next options, you have two options so far. Where do you cast the most blame for the missed red wave? If you go to the Annie Frey YouTube channel, you'll see we're live right now, and you can vote and leave a comment. Hannah's watching the comments as they come in, and she's going to highlight some of those, maybe depending on how many we get throughout the show, and she always wraps it up for us at 2:45. Where do you cast the most blame for the missed red wave? Poor candidates, Republican leadership. What about poor polling?
Listen, we never used the word red wave at the RNC because we knew the map had shrunk. There were less competitive seats because of redistricting, and we picked up 14 in 2020, and everybody forgets that. But Republican governors were overwhelmingly reelected last night because of what they did in the pandemic, because we did have a message. We kept our schools open. We kept our economies humming. And from Florida to Ohio to Iowa, across the board, we didn't lose a single Republican governorship. And the wave did happen because we are waving goodbye to Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
I don't really know if that's what we've been saying for a long time for red wave. I might file that a little bit more under Republican leadership. But polling. Is the blame to be cast on the fact that polling was coming in? It's not just polling on candidates, though, because Brad, a lot of the Democrats still polled ahead of the Republicans in a lot of different polls. But we see all of these other polls out there that are suggesting that people are super unhappy with the economy. People are super unhappy with President Biden. People are very frustrated with Nancy Pelosi or Congress as a whole, or gas prices are a big deal. We see all these people are doing these polls. The polls are what they are. The data is what they are. And so what?
Yeah.
I mean, really, at the end,
well,
does any of the polling matter?
The only way polling works is if people are honest with the pollsters. And there's no way of telling whether or not.
if you can't just take the people who are reporting and what kind of cross-section is that?
Right.
What about the people who don't participate in polls?
Right.
This is going to come as a shock to people, but I'm done with polls. I was done with polls before I was saying I was done with polls, but I just don't. Is there any value to you, Brad?
Polling is a persuasive tool. It's not a predictive tool. And so it seems like polling somebody and finding out that something's polling really well, you're persuading people to believe that, say, the Republicans are going to win big. And unfortunately, it seems like to me in elections, if you persuade a group of people that they're going to win big, they're less motivated and they don't show up. They don't do whatever it is that they're going to do. That also can persuade the other side to go after and work hard. So does polling have any value on elections? I don't know that it does. I mean, I think it's just something we want to know who's winning. We want to know who's ahead. We want to know what they're doing. And I think really, in all honesty, candidates would do best, campaigns would do best if they just assumed that everything is a really tight race and they need to get to freaking work.
And if you're somebody like us or the people who listen to our show, if we do talk about polls, you do want to know who's winning. You want to know how the races are going, but they're not right.
They're not correct. So you don't know.
So what's the point? I mean, the thing that frustrates me the most about this is that the people who are doing these polls are making a crap ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any requirement for them to be good at it?
Well, that's where accountability comes in. You stop paying for polls that are bad, but they don't stop paying for polls that are bad because they keep doing polls and they keep making money.
And here's the other thing, to slice and dice this even a little bit further. The polls that are put out to the public, that the media talks about, yeah, I am a part of the media. I see them. I talk about them pretty infrequently. We do give Ryan Wiggins a little room to play because he loves polls. But the polls that are talked about in the media are different than the polls that are looked at internally that campaigns do themselves. And we don't see those polls. I get to hear about some of those polls from campaigns from time to time, like off the record. But if it's not even the same polling, then what is the purpose? Just like you said, they're meant to influence people, and I don't like to be influenced. I don't like to be purposely influenced. Let's put it that way. I like to objectively look at the information, even when at least when I assume that I'm objectively looking at information and make decisions. All right. The last option in the poll today is, where do you cast the most blame for the missed red wave? It's media. And I just felt like it had to be on there. I don't even know how the media, the media, maybe it's a combination of all of that with the way the media did treat candidates, the way the media doesn't vet certain candidates and overly criticizes other candidates. Maybe it's the way the media props up a certain kind of message and squashes another. Or maybe it's the way the media does use the purposefully manipulative polling, combines it together and spits it out to try to create a narrative. I just don't really think that the CNNs and the MSNBCs of the world really loved having to talk about the impending red wave. So I don't know why they would have. I feel like that's six-dimensional chess to suggest that they were buying into the idea of a red wave that didn't end up materializing.
Yeah. I don't know. The media, it goes back to the media. It's based on what they report and what they don't report. When they amplify something, it becomes a bigger deal. When they don't report on something, you never know what it is. So So we talk about the Republicans' ability to get their message out. Well, it's hard to get your message out if nobody wants to share it. You know, if all you've got is Fox News that's willing to pick up your message, that's tough. And then you combine that with whether or not they had a good message.
Well, go to the Annie Frey YouTube channel, vote in the poll, leave a comment as to why you voted the way you did. Where do you cast the most blame for the missed red wave? Poor candidates, Republican leadership, poor polling, or media? When we come back, we'll talk to Hans von Spakovsky, our regular Thursday afternoon guest, in just a minute. Don't go away.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Congress has authorized trillions in new spending, along with doubling the size of the IRS agency in just the last few months. Do you think that is by accident? No, it is with a purpose, to go after small businesses, employees, and individuals who have not filed or paid their taxes. If this is you, don't panic, just call. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm in St. Louis. Interest and penalties on your tax bill won't stop until you take control. Call me, Lance Drury. I'll tell you in advance an affordable fee, which includes costs and expenses, that works for your business and family. Your first visit to the Lance Drury Law Firm is free and confidential, so you have nothing to lose. Call me today. Remember, if you have IRS issues, you have legal issues. You need an attorney. You need us, the Lance Drury Law Firm. Call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120. Or go to Lance, DRURYlaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Stewart's American Mortgage is where you go to get the bagel loan. He does mortgages, obviously. Mortgage refinances, new home purchases, bagel loan. These are the things that you need to know. And here's the phone number. I'm going to give it to you in a second. Pull your phone out. You can punch it in and just save it for later. Stewie, when he goes through the bagel loan with you, I've done it twice with my family with our mortgage. The first time we bought our house in 2015, I think it was 2019 that we did our first bagel loan refinance with Stewie. Why? Because the rate from what it was in 2015 to what it was in 2019 went down pretty significantly. So we lowered our rate, improved our monthly situation on our bill that we had to pay every month. And then in 2020, we had to replace the deck on our house. Needed some cash, took some of the equity out of our house to put it back on and replace the deck on our house. And we did the cash out refinance with the bagel loan. Here's the thing. When you go through that, why would I do a mortgage refinance in back-to-back years? You think that sounds silly? Well, you don't pay any of the fees that other lenders out there will charge you for. So you go to the bagel loan and you reach out to Stewie and you do business with him directly. You can close super fast and get the cash out of your home that you need to make the improvements or pay down high interest credit card debt right away. 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. Call him, text him, mention Annie when you do. Google the bagel loan, NMLS number 226715.
All right, you feel good tonight?
They're back, cocked and loaded. The Family Arena presents 38 Special with special guests Molly Hatchet and Black Oak, Arkansas. Saturday, November 19th, the Family Arena. Tickets on sale now at the Carroll House box office located at the Family Arena or Ticketmaster.com. Presented by the Family Arena.
Yes, Epics and Classics featuring John Anderson with the Band Geeks. May 9th, the Family Arena. Progressive Pioneers. Yes, Epics and Classics featuring John Anderson with the Band Geeks live. Research seat tickets on sale now at the Carroll House box office at the Family Arena or through Ticketmaster. Don't miss Yes, Epics and Classics featuring John Anderson with the Band Geeks.
Second Amendment Radio is a staple of solid firearm information on 97.1 every weekend. Saturday from 3 to 4 and Sunday from noon to 1. It's Second Amendment Radio and the great outdoors. 97.1 FM Talk. The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Cause a trip bring me late.
What's your message to Republicans who are considering investigating your family, and particularly your son Hunter's business dealings?
Lots of luck in your senior year, as my coach used to say. Look, I think the American public want us to move on and get things done for them. And, you know, I heard that there were it was reported, whether it's accurate or not, I'm not sure, but it was reported many times that Republicans were saying, and the former president said, how many times are you going to impeach Biden? You know, impeachment proceeding against Biden. I mean, I think the American people will look at all of that for what it is. It's just almost comedy. I mean, it's, but, you know, look, I can't control what they're going to do. All I can do is continue to try to make life better for the American people.
We the people of the United States.
More perfect.
In order to form a more perfect union.
Heritage legal expert Hans von Spakovsky.
Well, Hans, it's the day after the election, but we still seem to be in the midst of an election process, getting results. It looks like the Republicans are going to take the majority in the House of Representatives. I want to ask you a little bit about those investigations that President Biden was asked about potentially into Hunter. But first, I want to give you the opportunity to react to the election, the lack of the red wave, but the potential for a Republican majority potentially in both houses.
Well, you know, what I found interesting about the election was that in a lot of states where Republicans won, they won big. And the best example of that is Florida. Look, Donald Trump won Florida by only 3 percentage points in 2020. Ron DeSantis won it by 19 percentage points, a huge number. And they came awfully close in some blue states. Yeah, they didn't win, but they came much closer than they've ever come before in some of these places, and actually captured some congressional seats in New Jersey and New York, which have been strongholds of the left so a long time. So, yeah, it wasn't as huge a red wave as they were expecting, but actually I think they did pretty well. I should point out, Annie, that look, control of the U.S. Senate may come down to a race in Nevada, and that's where the issue we've talked about a lot, election integrity, really comes in. Nevada has some of the worst election laws in the country when it comes to the security standpoint, and yet here we have an election coming down to a small handful of votes, and that's where those kind of problems can make a difference.
Well, I'm looking right now at the Nevada results. 83%, according to Fox News here, 83% reported in. Adam Laxalt has 436,854 votes. Cortez Masto, 421,042 votes. So Laxalt is up 49.4% to 47.61%. He's been leading since about, I think, 3:45 Central Time a.m. I was watching when it ticked over still on election night. He's had a lead, and it's continued to kind of march at this same pace. Why is it Thursday, and there are only 83% of the votes counted in Nevada?
Well, because Nevada is one of the states that's tried to push everybody into mail-in voting. They mail in the ballots to all of their registered voters, and it takes much longer to count absentee or mail-in ballots than it does to simply count the ballots that are dropped in a ballot box on election day. And Nevada has a bad reputation for its election administration not being run very effectively. And look, just look at the difference between Nevada and Florida. Florida, much bigger state, much better election laws. In fact, they have some of the best in the country. And we knew by the end of election eve who had won in the state. And that tells you how much better they are, how much more competent they are in running elections.
Yeah, it is amazing. It was amazing to see. We said that night when the polls were closing and they were having results, and it was just immediate how quickly you started to understand what was going on in Florida. And of course, we talked about Nevada here a little bit. Let's talk about Arizona and what is taking place there. The drip of results that are coming in. I'm looking on Fox News right now, and it says for the Senate seat, they don't even have 70% in, 69% in right now, and the difference between those races is less than 100,000 votes for the Senate seat, with the Democrat incumbent leading. And then you look over at the governor race, and Katie Hobbs, the Democrat, is leading by less than 14,000 votes right now. It is razor thin. And I would imagine with every minute that goes by that these votes aren't being counted, even if it was being done completely honestly, it still sows a ton of skepticism in the voter in the whole process.
Well, that's understandable when you realize that Maricopa County, which is the largest county in the state, had all kinds of problems in the 2020 election, which they don't seem to have fixed on Election Day. Remember, they announced that, I couldn't believe it, 20% of their voting machines were not operating correctly and causing all kinds of problems. What does that tell you, again, about the competence of the people running elections there? And remember, they fought tooth and nail to prevent an audit, the election officials did, of the 2020 election. And, you know, it's audits that can tell you how to fix problems. And they obviously didn't want an audit because they didn't want people realizing how badly they run things there.
Ironically, the person in charge of elections, as I understand it, Hans, is the Secretary of State, who happens to currently be Katie Hobbs, who happens to currently be on the ballot for the Democratic candidate for governor.
Yeah, no kidding. And people should look at how good a job she has done as Secretary of State, and she's running for governor. You know, that's the kind of thing I would certainly take into account if I was a voter out there.
So Hans von Spakovsky with us right now. You have a book called Our Broken Elections, How the Left Changed the Way You Vote. I will encourage people to look into his book to learn more about how our election systems are run and how they have changed over the last few years. What do you expect? When are you thinking Nevada's going to be called? Arizona's going to be called?
Well, I hope within a week, but again, that's whether they can get through all those absentee ballots. Keep in mind also that part of the issue, who's going to control the House, depends on it's like a dozen races in California, in which they are also still counting votes. And California is another state that in our election integrity scorecard, as being the worst states in the country we have are California at 49th and Nevada at 50.
You just said you hope in a week. I was prepared for maybe today or tomorrow. So I guess I will
maybe, but we don't know because they run elections so badly there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's terrible to watch, and I don't like it because it makes people more skeptical on both sides, and it frustrates me. I want to shift a little bit to the pending Republican majority in the House of Representatives. It is predicted there's 209 Republicans have won election. They need 9 more for a majority. Reporters asked Joe Biden about the possibility of investigating his son. What do you expect a smaller Republican majority in the House to do once they have that majority and they chair the committees and they have the ability to subpoena?
Look, there are two big powers of the House. One is the budget and appropriations, and the other is oversight. And we've had whistleblower after whistleblower after whistleblower from the FBI come out and talk about the politicalization of that agency on everything from the Hunter Biden case to all kinds of other problems like the Russia-Trump investigation. And they need to do in-depth oversight to get to the bottom of that. And if the administration refuses to cooperate, they need to use the budgeting power that they have to, frankly, withhold money from the FBI and, frankly, the Justice Department, too. I mean, the Justice Department needs to also they need in-depth investigations of their trying to label parents as domestic terrorists, and if their same kind of abusive use of their law enforcement powers on other things, like, for example, suing Georgia over their election reform changes, a lawsuit which all you have to do is look at the turnout in this latest election to show how absurd that lawsuit was.
And do you feel as though that the difference in the Senate, should they be able to pull off 51 seats, the Republicans pull off those 51 seats, how dramatic does that change Washington, D.C., and the efforts of that body of government in a Joe Biden presidency?
Well, the problem in the Senate, I mean, look, yeah, it gives the Republicans a little bit more power, but, you know, if the Republicans have only 51 votes or 52 votes, look, they've got senators there who, unfortunately, all too often will cross the line and vote with the Democrats. And so, yeah, it gives them a little bit more authority, but the ability, for example, to pass good legislation when they have a filibuster and they have a Democratic president who's willing to veto it and they don't have a veto-proof supermajority is going to make it very tough for them to get a lot done. That's why controlling the House is the most important thing because of the budget power of the House of Representatives.
And, you know, you're a constitutional lawyer and a constitutional expert, at least in this point in time where you have a Democrat House, a Democrat Senate, a Democrat president, slowing things down to a screeching halt. That was very purposefully put into the process of government, as I understand it.
No, that is absolutely right. And that is the biggest power they're going to have, besides the budget, is stopping the flow of bad legislation coming through Congress. And that's really important. Frankly, the other big advantage of them hopefully getting 51 or 52 votes is to stop the confirmation of the terrible, terrible judges that nominating to the courts. They are ideological left-wing firebrands. They are not judges. And anybody who doubts that should just look at the latest addition to the U.S. Supreme Court who Biden put into office.
Well, you know, Hans, we appreciate your expertise. It's going to be very interesting in the next 2 years, but also in the next probably 3-4 weeks while we push ourselves towards this December 6th runoff to see exactly what the balance of power is going to look like. And your expertise is always welcomed here on the Annie Frey Show to make some sense of it for us. Thank you for being here today.
It's great to talk to you.
All right. We'll do it again next week. Hans von Spakovsky with us, the senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation, a former FEC lawyer, a DOJ lawyer, FEC commissioner and a DOJ lawyer. And you can follow him on Twitter at @HVonSpakovsky. We're going to take a quick break. Wiggins America in studio with us. Let's talk about big swing elections and if they're still possible here in the future. And he has exit polling for us. So we'll get all of that from Ryan Wiggins and Wiggins America. And your vote in the YouTube live chat poll. Go stop by on the YouTube live during the break here and vote. Where do you cast the most blame for the missed red wave? Poor candidates, Republican leadership, poor polling, or the media? Your vote, Wiggins America, when we come back.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Jules on Hampton in St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches on site. Jules on Hampton is a premier jeweler with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jules on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches. Bring your collectibles and clocks, sports memorabilia, and figurines too. Jules on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa. Call them at 314-752-5000. That's 314-752-5000. So if you need some extra cash, looking for that one-of-a-kind piece, make Jules on Hampton your first stop. Jules on Hampton in St. Louis Hills.
Well, maybe you're tired this week because you stayed up late watching Annie Frey Show coverage of the elections, or you're listening to 97.1 and you didn't get the sleep you wanted this week. But if you're always tired, I urge you to call Fountains Family Dentistry and ask about these sleep apnea mouth guards that I have endorsed many times and continue to wear. In fact, this week I thought, gosh, I could use a little extra hard sleep, because that's what they give you. They give you that deep REM sleep that you're not getting if apnea is getting in the way and causing you to constantly wake up. Maybe you don't even know you're doing that. But if that's happening, these will fix that. And you give Dr. Ty Parker and Fountains Family Dentistry a call, and they'll walk you through the process of figuring out if that's you. Surprise, it probably is. There are so many people who struggle with this issue that don't even know it, that maybe you've just gotten used to it and you don't even know what good sleep is like. Well, once again, give them a call at Fountains Family Dentistry. They will walk you through that process, and you will be shocked at how much better you're sleeping. FountainsFamilyDentistry.com is the website. They're in Fairview Heights, Illinois. FountainsFamilyDentistry.com.
Nobody wants to miss the important things in life, and if it's because of bad vision, you don't have to. Mark Cox here from my friends at Brenton Vision. They can help you out. That's why I want you to take 2 minutes today to call my friends at Brenton at 314-375-2020 or go online to BrentonVision.com. Your eyes are as unique as your fingerprint. Since Brenton Vision is the only place in Missouri offering all 7 forms of modern vision correction, they can create a customized treatment plan just for your vision. They helped my wife out. She chose the lens replacement therapy and now sees better than ever, and she loves it. You can have that same experience with Brenton Vision. They accept flex plans and medical spending plans as well at Brenton. So don't let that money expire or go to waste. See your best. Do what we did. Call Brenton Vision at 314-375-2020 or schedule online right now at BrentonVision.com.
I'm Eric Robert with Stifel. The economy is always changing, but what does it mean for your investments? Join me and fellow Stifel financial advisor Bob Stockdale during On the Money, Saturday mornings from 11 until noon on 97.1 FM Talk. Stifel, member NYSE and SIPC.
Did you know the Missouri State Treasurer's Office holds over $1 billion of unclaimed property? That's billion with a B. Things like utility deposits or uncashed checks and other money you didn't know was missing. This is Missouri State Treasurer Scott Fitzpatrick. My office wants to return this money to rightful owners, and the average claim is $300. Search your name online 24/7 at showmemoney.com. Claiming your money is always free, so search today at showmemoney.com.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling and Insulation Studio. Save up to $900 in utility rebates and see if you qualify for 0% financing on a new high-efficiency HVAC system. For details and to get into your comfort zone, visit aircomfortservice.com.
We know you won't hear it all, so we're highlighting as it happens on the socials. Follow 97.1 on Twitter and Facebook and weigh in. They can't ban all of us.
Painted red, the stripe was white, it was 18 feet from the bow to the stern light.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show.
In Atlanta,
interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Put on a shine, put on a motor, built out of love, made for water.
You know, they've made some gains in some states, but if we're comparing this to midterm elections in history, this is very much against the grain. This is the exception to the rule that the out party gets big gains 2 years into a presidency.
Yeah, I mean,
so we're looking at voter turnout in these elections versus previous elections, and it's kind of a mixed bag. A lot of states had higher turnout. The states that you'd figure did. The swing states, of course, more money spent there, more increased focus on those races like Pennsylvania, like Arizona, like Nevada. But a lot of states were about the same as before. I am kicking around an idea that I wanted to present to you guys just to get your thoughts because, gosh, there's been a lot of analysis. We don't even know exactly why this election went the way it went yet. Obviously, we're still waiting on results, so we still don't know. But the idea that it wasn't a wave, I've been analyzing, well, why would that be? Because in 2018, you did kind of see a wave. The Republicans gained seats in the Senate due to a favorable map, but overall, Democrats swept 40 or so seats in the House. That was seen as a wave election, a big referendum on Trump in those midterms. This one would appear to have been, going into it, the same, where you have Biden, historically unpopular president. this would appear to be a referendum on an unpopular president, yet you didn't see yet that complete sweep. So I'm presenting to you the idea that we may be actually moving past with the American electorate due to turnout, the idea of even having huge wave elections at all. The case that I'm making is simply that the electorate is so much more A, divided, and B, engaged than they have been in the past, that you're going to have roughly the same turnout in elections across the board versus the past. So in the past, you'd have, for instance, 2010, big Republican year, you had really low Democrat turnout and relatively high Republican turnout or average Republican turnout. In a big Democrat year, you'd have big Democrat turnout and suppressed Republican turnout. What we've seen the last couple cycles is pretty even turnout across the board. 2020, 2022, and the turnout are the conclusions of those elections were that you had a 50-50 Senate in 2020, and you had almost a perfectly divided House, not quite, just a few seats gave the Democrats the lead. In this one, it looks like we could have another possible 50-50 Senate, very close, and you'll have a slight Republican lead in the House. So I want to present that idea, get your reaction to it, your thoughts of whether, because A, the electorate is so divided and everything is seen as so important that this election and next election will always be, this is the most important election we'll ever have. So you have high turnout across the board. Nobody's getting suppressed voting. No side is depressed. Everybody's turning out. So you continue to see pretty close elections from here on out and no huge waves. What do you think about that?
A couple of thoughts that I have on that. One, really, historically speaking, what is the prevalency of a wave election? How often do they happen, and how often do elections like this past one happen where it just kind of switches control, more of a shift and a rock? I think we're used to a big pendulum swing each way, and I wonder maybe if the pendulum is slowing down, and that's just returning back to the natural way of things, because there have been very extreme elections. I would say we've had very contentious elections since George W. Bush. I
actually don't think that the George W. Bush election was contentious until the Chads started hanging.
Right. And that's kind of, my point still stands in that, but it was the Chads that started it. Those stinking Chads.
Well, okay, so I should say like the campaign.
Right, for sure.
Like the election, yes, but Obama coming onto the scene changed the whole landscape, but that wasn't even really a competitive race.
Right.
That was a landslide.
Well, and you look back at Reagan, when Reagan's second term happened and how they just swept everybody out and all that other stuff. Okay, that's a wave election. But outside of that, what are the big wave elections, and how many of them are actually just the other party taking control because it's the American people balancing things out? So I wonder maybe if wave elections are more of a product of the media and the sensationalism that we see in everything, and not really that prevalent of a thing. Like, it takes something extreme to do it, and things are extremely bad. Don't get me wrong.
We can't look at what happened in this election and say, "Oh, that was a thing of a past," when it was an expectation that was set that just never materialized. There's no indication that there was something there that went away, other than a fantasy. And I think that, what were your points on why?
Simply that because we're so divided and every election seems like and as always said, this is the most important election now, that turnout on both sides, you're not going to really see dips for Democrats or dips for Republicans. It's always going to stay high and therefore evenly divided.
I just feel like that's the way it's always been. I don't really feel like that's any different than any other election. I think we're oversaturated in information, but I don't think that the end result here is any different than it's ever been. And in fact, the outcome of this election, and probably the 2020 election as well, not in specific results on the who's, but the division that we have with 3 Democratic-controlled bodies in both in Congress and then the executive office, it's still razor thin. The margin is still razor thin. I mean, wave elections aren't normal. I don't think that it's normal to suggest that there is a wave election. So I think that saying that we wouldn't see them in the future is an anomaly. I think the wave election is the anomaly and always has been.
Well, I'm just looking back at like 1994, for instance. That was a big one. 2010, even 2014 and 2018. You know, these are years where you had a lot more switching of parties in especially the House than you did this year. So if you compare this to those, it was much milder. So I just wonder if we're.
Well, I think we're watering down, no pun intended, what a wave election actually is.
Mm-hmm.
2010 was a wave election. It was, it matters what's going on in the world at the time. And I don't think that we're just going to have the same turnout every single time. There are so many factors that are weighing in on this election. Donald Trump is absolutely one of them. We made it till 12:56 in the first hour before we mentioned Donald Trump's name. But he's a factor. And there is a pre-Trump political world and a during Trump political world. There will be a post-Trump political world. I don't think anything's going to change while we are in the Trump political world. But I don't think that wave elections aren't normal. Just because you switch parties, that's obvious. That's normal. I think that's what's happened here. That's what happened in 2020, at least in the House. They gained a ton of Republican seats, but I just don't think the abnormality of what the wave was that we were supposed to see didn't happen, which means I think what happened was actually kind of normal.
Ooh.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, Tyrus and Erica Conway-Harris in studio. We come back.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum-sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
No paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Well, let's focus on a luxury dealership that is doing it right in the St. Louis area, and it's uncommon in this market. I feel a little bit silly saying that Genesis of St. Charles is a secret, but if you're driving past them in the St. Charles Hyundai showroom, you're not going to see the sign. So unless you're hearing me talk about them right now, you may not even know that they're there. So in that sense, it is a secret, and that's why I'm sort of here leaking that secret to you. They don't charge over MSRP. You can walk in, talk to a salesperson there who's been there for years because they have so much repeat business that they know how to do this with you. They know that if you're shopping for a luxury car right now, you're not going to go this weekend, for instance, and want to spend your whole afternoon going back and forth with the boss and let me go talk and let me see what I can get for you. You can walk in, you can drive one of their many vehicles that they have right there on the lot, and you can walk away with a Genesis that day if you want to. So check them out. Again, they're in the St. Charles Automotive Campus and on Veterans Memorial Parkway, online at genesisofstcharles.com.
Attention! Did you or a loved one live at or near Marine Base Camp Lejeune in North Carolina between 1953 and 1987? If so, listen closely for this important legal announcement. From 1953 to 1987, Marines and their family members at Camp Lejeune drank water that was contaminated with hazardous toxins. The toxins found in the water at Camp Lejeune may cause health issues, especially later in life. Types of health issues associated with water at Camp Lejeune are numerous. If you or a loved one lived near Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1987, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation without going to court. Even if you were turned down in the past, a new law can allow you to file a claim today. If you or a loved one spent time near Camp Lejeune, call the Negligence Network to find out if you're eligible for financial compensation. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call 1-800-600-5536. That's 1-800-600-5536. 1-800-600-5536.
KFTK FM Florissant.
Driven by the Bommarito Automotive Group.
97.1 FM Talk.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The
White House stays the course. Lisa Brady, Fox News.
Americans are beginning to see a much more needed break in inflation, so that does matter.
Spokeswoman Karine Jean-Pierre, after a new report showing lower inflation than expected in October, President Biden says he'll oppose any effort to undo his agenda. For now, control of the House and Senate remain up in the air, with some midterm votes still being counted. Much of Central Florida is being pounded by a tropical storm that made landfall as a hurricane early today and has since turned deadly.
The storm called Nicole so far seems less impactful than Hurricane Ian, but hundreds of thousands in Central Florida, especially near the Space Coast, have lost power, Governor Ron DeSantis.
Winds have been the main concern with Nicole, but we've also seen heavy rains that have resulted in 3 to 5 foot of storm surge in some areas. We've also seen potential flash flooding.
And in the Orlando area, the Orange County, Florida Sheriff's Office says 2 people were fatally electrocuted by downed power lines.
Fox's Evan Brown, some homes collapsing in the Daytona Beach area where Hurricane Ian swept away seawalls and other protections in September. The NFL's Washington Commanders are being sued by Washington, D.C. The district's Attorney General Carl Racine announcing a civil consumer protection lawsuit accusing the team, its owner Dan Snyder, and the league and the NFL commissioner of colluding to deceive district residents about allegations of workplace misconduct.
For years, the team and its owner have caused very real and very serious harm and then lied about it to dodge accountability.
The NFL fining the Commanders $10 million last year for having a toxic workplace culture, but multiple investigations are ongoing. Conspiracy theorist Alex Jones just ordered to pay another $473 million for spreading lies about a Connecticut school shooting. America is listening to Fox News.
You've got advanced prostate cancer, but you're not waiting around. You want straight talk, the facts about Orgovix.
Orgovix Relugolix 120 milligram prescription tablets is a treatment for adults with advanced prostate cancer. Fact: Orgovix is a different kind of androgen deprivation therapy treatment, a pill, not an injection. Orgovix may cause serious side effects, including a heart condition called QT prolongation. Tell your doctor right away if you feel dizzy, faint, have a racing or pounding heart, or chest pain. Orgovix can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during treatment and for 2 weeks after Orgovix treatment. The most common side effects include hot flushes, increased blood sugar and blood fat levels, muscle and joint pain, decreased blood hemoglobin levels, increased liver enzymes, tiredness, constipation, and diarrhea. Other side effects include weight gain, decreased sex drive, and erectile function problems. Orgovix may cause infertility. Talk to your doctor if infertility is a concern for you.
Go with Orgovix. Ask your doctor. For more facts, visit gowiththefacts.com.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling. Weather.
The official 97.1 FM Talk Weather Center forecast: sunny, breezy, warm afternoon. We could set a record today, high 82. Partly cloudy, cool tonight, low 42. Clouds and then sun, breezy, cooler day tomorrow, high 46. Clear and cold tomorrow night with the low at 29. And then partly sunny, chilly day on Saturday, high Saturday at 39. I'm Steve Williams for 97.1 FM Talk.
97.1 FM Talk and Straight Realty would like to introduce you to Brian Kilmeade in person, December 9th. For details and to purchase your tickets now, visit 971talk.com/events.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right, nice, soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
Don't miss the Big Night In, a movie and media event on November 17th from 5 to 8 p.m. at the Sound Room in Chesterfield. Be among the first to see the hottest home entertainment items for the holiday season and the year ahead. Hear from experts with the industry's premier manufacturers, Sony, Kaleidoscape, Epson, Paradigm, Anthem, Stewart Film Screen, Samsung, EPV Screens, and JL Audio. They'll lead demos and learning sessions. I'll even be there discussing the trends in media and how I experience all of this at home. Limited space is available. Reserve your spot today at thesoundroom.com. That's thesoundroom.com.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends at ThrottleNet. These are the genius IT guys that I've been representing for years and years now. We are number one all the time. Best in customer service from Small Business Monthly. Best in cybersecurity, again, Small Business Monthly. We have an average response time. I love this statistic. The average response time in St. Louis in 2020 by IT companies. You have a problem, you reach out to them, hey, I'm all shut down, help me, was 3 hours. If you got back within 3 hours, you were cool. Ours was 1 minute, 57 seconds, and the guys were very unhappy with that. It takes less than 2 minutes for us to address your problems. Here's a huge thing. We are now offering $500,000 in ransom protection to everyone who uses us. This is part of the deal. You don't pay extra for it. So if you happen to be hit and you have to pay, we're going to pay it up to $500,000. Now, this shows you how confident we are because no one under our protection has ever had to pay. Go to throttlenet.com/DGS.
It's Black Friday all month long at Dave Munganast St. Louis Honda and our pre-owned centers. Get a $200 gift card with any vehicle purchase at our pre-owned centers in South County or Bonne Terre. So come see the Munganast difference today or shop us 24/7 at davemunganast.com since 1965.
Visit Shane Company. We have the largest selection of natural diamonds and lab-grown diamonds in all shapes and sizes, each one hand-selected for its beauty.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
I mean, Joe Biden won an abbreviated campaign because of COVID. And so he wasn't in every diner in Iowa. He didn't have to go to every SEC Tuesday state. I mean, the campaign is a monster in itself. And the question, I'm not saying that he can't do it. The question he has to answer is, does he want to go through that and go through, primary debates? Because he's going to be primary. Mm-hmm. That's a fact. We're new age Democrats. Now, I'm going to support him in that primary, but he's going to be.
He's going to get primaried?
Of course.
By a serious candidate?
Did Hillary Clinton get primaried?
Hillary wasn't
it doesn't even matter if the candidate is serious or not.
But Barack Obama didn't get primaried. Bill Clinton didn't get primaried.
There's going to be somebody. This is not Bill Clinton or Barack Obama's Democratic Party anymore. I wish it was. There are a lot of us who are going to support Joe Biden. Let's be extremely clear.
But who would primary him?
I feel firm in the belief that he'll get primaried from the left.
I might primary him if he's going to run again. Who wouldn't primary Joe Biden? You think that's not ripe for the taking?
Oh, my gosh.
Not to mention the fact, don't you think that if Joe Biden is primaried and enough people vote for the primary opponent, that person would be able to then coalesce the Democratic Party as a whole to see if they could get him across the finish line? That was Bakari Sellers talking to a panel on CNN. And they're really shocked at the idea that Joe Biden might actually, should he go through a re-election campaign, might have to fight off a primary candidate. Well, the question is do you think he will run again?
Our intention is to run again. That's been our intention, regardless of what the outcome of this election was. The fact that we won, I didn't run, is one that gives everybody sigh of relief that the mega Republicans are not taking over the government again, et cetera. And so my judgment of running when I announce, if I announce, my intention is that I run again.
Clearly. Are the MAGA Republicans different than the MAGA Republicans, or are they different also from the MAGA Republicans?
I think they're all. I think it's three separate groups.
I wonder which one I am.
It's three separate threats to democracy.
Yeah, I think it's funny to think about that. MAGA Republicans, MAGA Republicans, and MAGA Republicans. The people in my life that I know personally, some who agree with me politically, many people in my friends' family circle who disagree with me politically, some who even are in my family who hate me. It's really sad, I know. It's funny that I think that they would all, I think I could be categorized as all three of those groups.
Yeah, probably.
And I don't think...
Because it's subjective?
Yeah, it has a lot more to do with what their political beliefs are than what my political beliefs are.
I think to some people you might even be a rhino. It's crazy.
Heck yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, y'all told me that. I also don't care. I have political beliefs. They are what they are. I say them here and take it for what you will. The president says there that his intention is to run again. And he says there are varying orders of the sentences that he says there. I think that what he's saying is the statement of the Biden administration is that he will be running for re-election. And then in parenthetical non-speak is until we say otherwise. I think that's part of the deal.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that he's waiting to talk to Jill, or if I'm going to be completely honest, waiting for Jill to give him permission.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's Jill's the worst. What happens if there is a primary challenger? Who could it be?
Fetterman as a nominee at some point for president. I know there's some variables, obviously. Just a few. But I just, what he did in the super red, deep red parts of Pennsylvania and the way that he ran ahead of Biden, as you were saying, ran ahead of Trump. I mean, it just makes you wonder about his future.
No,
it doesn't.
No, it does not. I don't really think that the Democratic Party as a whole, I think that what John Fetterman did in Pennsylvania was prove what the Democrat voters are willing to do to stop Republicans from accessing office.
100%. I don't think that was a vote for Fetterman as much as it was a vote against Oz and possibly a vote against Republicans.
I think it's more a vote against Republicans than even Oz. Because I had a friend of mine who is a lefty, and he likes to try to tweak me from time to time. But Brad, if you're a Democrat and you hate Republicans, and who's every Democrat's favorite Republican?
Oh, their favorite Republican is Donald Trump.
I was going to say Mitt Romney.
No,
you're taking us a different, honest. I see what you're saying. I'm not opposed to that, but why can't more Republicans be like?
Oh yeah,
Mitt Romney.
Mitt Romney.
Republicans
Cheney.
Republicans say, why can't more Democrats be like Joe Manchin?
Joe Manchin.
Yes, and what you like about those people is that they're more like you. Not that. There's nothing about Joe Manchin that Republicans like other than the things that he does that lean conservative. There's nothing that Democrats like about Mitt Romney other than when Mitt Romney hurts Republicans. So there's no like bipartisanship there on behalf of the party that is in favor of the opposing elected official. You just like the parts about them that are like you.
Yeah. You know what? And you said the word bipartisan, and it makes me think about this. It's like people always say they want government to work together and they want bipartisan things. And they don't, because that means that you will have to give up something in exchange for what you want from them. It's the exchange that nobody gets 100% of what they want. So when they say we want bipartisanship and somebody that works with us, they want somebody that will do exactly what we want them to do.
John Fetterman is a perfect example of how many people oppose the Republican Party at all costs. And complete and total ends justifies the means. Republicans do the same thing. And I would do the same thing. If people list off Republicans that could run for president and they're like, would you vote for this Republican? Donald Trump is one of them. Would you vote for Donald Trump again? Against a Democrat? As many times as Illinois will allow me to. Why would I do something to help more of these Joe Biden or Bernie Sanders or Gavin Newsom policies to see the light of day? Of course I would do something, whatever I could to stop them. That doesn't mean that I love any of the said candidates because, you could put Donald Trump in there. You could put, let's put Liz Cheney in there. Would I vote for Liz Cheney? If she were running for president, would I vote for Liz Cheney over Gavin Newsom?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Look at Liz Cheney's voting record in Congress. She votes Republican all this. I mean, like, she's got a very high Republican conservative voting record that when she was in office with Donald Trump was in sync with what Donald Trump was doing on a regular basis. My problem with Liz Cheney would happen in the primary where I would say, I don't want a in perpetuity Trump obsession to occur in this country.
Mm-hmm.
If Donald Trump is going to be the president, if he's running for president, he's part of the conversation. If he's not, why are we bringing him into every single conversation all the time? The obsession is such a distraction. To look at John Fetterman and his victory in Pennsylvania and get presidential vibes from that, my goodness. Didn't she say something like some things that have to work themselves out?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a way of saying it.
Yeah.
Perfect example of how divided the country is. We don't care about the details of the moment. We know which party we support. And I'll give credit here to Scooter, who commented on the Annie Frey YouTube channel, and said that he thinks that all the big red wave talk got Democrats motivated to show up. That's probably very true, and not really the point that many people are making right now. That in the midst of a constant drumbeat of how big will the red wave be? We did it here. How will it turn into a tsunami? The idea that it could be, Martha McCallum said pink trickle. And I said that on the other day. And every time I hear that, I'm thinking, that sounds like a medical problem. If it's going to be a pink trickle, like when she said that, I thought to myself, why is she even saying that? Is that even possible? Because nothing was indicating, based on the echo chamber of the media, I suppose. It became kind of like a willful ignorance, I think, on a lot of people's behalfs to say that. And then you point at all of the indications, like the common sense would lead you to believe that people would vote against what's going on in the country right now. Of course you would vote against the person who's got steady inflation at 8.8%. Sky-high gas prices. You've got supply chain issues. You've got costs at the grocery store issues. I mean, we go over this stuff all the time. It is the laundry list. It's like when you ever watch Sean Hannity and he starts talking about throwing Granny off the cliff. There's a whole it's like a tick that he has that all of a sudden he goes through his list of things that the Democrats said 6 years ago. We've gone over this. It's kind of become wallpaper where you don't even really notice it when you walk by anymore. People still snap back to their voting habits, and you sit there and you go, why? How did this outcome happen the way it did? And you got to ask yourself, and I said this yesterday, and I'm saying it again, what did the Republican Party really do to say, we're here for you? Other than point at the other guy and go, this is terrible. Well, that's true. And there's merit and validity in that. And when things are not going well for whatever particular reason, the Democrats use that as the same opportunity. I mean, we slap this is a big slap fight. Mm-hmm. That would be so much better if we had candidates who just had to slap each other. If you want to do an attack ad, you have to say it to the person's face, and you have to and after they say it to you, the other person gets to slap you. There's something there.
Yeah, I like it. And we can film it and put it on TikTok.
Can you imagine Donald Trump and Joe Biden insulting each other? And when Donald Trump insults Joe Biden gets to slap him across the face. So you can give as many insults as you want, as many attacks as you want, but then you get to be slapped by the other person. And you each get to nominate one person for one slap to do the slap for you.
Ooh. There'd be one insult given, and then somebody be knocked out.
Can you tell that I'm over it? I'm so over it. Because you want everything to be substantive. The tortilla challenge, yeah. Yes. Tortillas. It could be sponsored by Goya. Maybe the Republican ones. I just, if you pay attention to this stuff on the left or the right, you want it to be about the issues because the issues matter to you. There are a lot of people who vote that don't pay attention to the issues. That's not going to change either.
No.
You're not going to be like, how do you put those people's face in your hands and cradle their cheeks in your hands and go, why can't you understand that inflation is at 8.4%? Does that not mean anything to you? And they're going to just be like, what? There are some people who are not going to be informed voters, and they exist on both sides.
Yeah.
They probably vote generationally based on the way dad, grandpa, and great-grandpa and great-great-grandpa always were in the union, or they were always, farmers, conservative farmers, or whatever the characterizations are. How do you cut through the muck? I'm not 100% sure. But I know what the current Republican Party is doing isn't enough to reach young people. And I also know that, as we discussed before, early voting is the case. It's the case in Illinois. I think it's 40 days.
It's ridiculous.
Illinois, I think it's 40 days before Election Day you can start voting. That's the way it goes. That's the game plan. That's the field that you have to compete on. And if the Democrats are going to compete on that field and you're going to show up on Election Day and say, Republicans vote on Election Day. Well, I get it. Okay. I understand the validity of that, but that's not the rule right now. How do you get people to early vote that think that that's part of the problem? I don't know how you do that. You've got a very short amount of time to figure it out, because we were having the same conversation after the 2020 election. And until we can figure out a way to, if this is the outcome you're looking for, until we can figure out a way to get Election Day back to Election Day, maybe election week, not election month or election season, until you can get it back to that, if that's what you are looking to get it back to, you got to fight on the field that is there for you to fight on. Perfect analogy that Brad made before. It's like playing football and saying, well, I don't like the passing game. I don't think that people should be able to forward pass. So you just run all the time. Well, you're going to get smoked. All right, let's take a quick break. My new state senator, Republican victory in Illinois' 56th state Senate district, flipping a blue seat to red. One of the few people in Illinois who was able to do this, and for good reason. Erica Conway-Harris is in studio with us to talk about her campaign and what she can do with her win once she gets into the Illinois State Senate. Erica Conway-Harris in the studio here with the Andy Frey Show. In a minute, don't go away.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Follow Annie on Twitter @Annie Frey Show.
GetRefunds.com. You may have heard me talk about the payroll tax refund program that gives businesses up to $26,000 for every employee they kept on payroll during COVID. But today, I'm not going to do the talking. I'm letting a real Get Refunds client tell you everything.
I'm Dennis Brewer, the owner of IPM Services. I heard about payroll tax refund and GetRefunds.com on the radio. When COVID hit my business, production slowed down. We were unable to give employees bonuses. They got me approved for a payroll tax refund, and with that money, it allowed me to pay off debt and get bonuses. If you have a business, you should go to GetRefund.com and start your claim right now.
GetRefunds.com helped their business, and we can help yours too. Go to GetRefunds.com and see if you qualify in just 8 minutes. GetRefunds.com, powered by Innovation Refunds.
So it's warm right now. I just went out to my car and it's beautiful outside, but I think that the bottom's going to fall out of that temperature tonight, and you're going to want to make sure your furnace is in good working order. Air Comfort Service is waiting for your phone call. Or if you want to put their phone number into your phone so that you have the right people to call to get you into your comfort zone right away. Air Comfort Service, they can be there to do this. Now, I want to talk to you about something new that they're offering. Corey and the team at Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling is proud to now offer you insulation services. 9 out of 10 homes are under-insulated. This is going to make a huge difference here in the winter. Is yours under-insulated? When homes are under-insulated, your HVAC system has to work harder than it needs to. The harder your HVAC system has to work, the higher your energy costs are going to be. And we know that those costs are supposed to be going up anyway. Save money by going with Air Comfort Service to fix this problem. With a properly maintained HVAC system and proper installation, you're going to see an increase in your energy savings, increase in your comfort zone in your house, and better indoor air quality. Call them 314-513-0091. That's 314-513-0091. And you can go to aircomfort.com/insulation to find out more.
Hi, this is Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw, Tom's nephew. As a family business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you're nearing retirement or already retired. What if it were possible to protect you from market downturns without having to make an emotional decision to buy or sell? What if you could take advantage of a strategy that would automatically take you out of harm's way during the bad years and position you for the growth opportunity during the good years?
The secret is in linking safely to the market without putting your principal at risk. By linking to the market instead of owning the market, you can participate safely on autopilot and lock in your gains without creating a taxable event. Go online at retirementkey.com for a no-obligation retirement review. Learn the strategies that have helped our clients retire with confidence for the past 36 years. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. So go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
The Mark Reardon Show.
It's our weekly visit with Brian Kilmeade. He'll weigh in on the red trickle Thursday afternoon.
Weekdays from 3 to 6. The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk. The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
What's wrong with being confident? What's wrong with being confident? It's time to get the chains out. Is your tongue tied up?
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Always looking for bright spots to share with you. And one of those bright spots certainly has been Erica Harris. She is my new state senator in Illinois, a Republican pickup, and she's in here with us right now. Erica, thank you so much for coming in the studio.
Hi, Annie. Thanks for having me.
So you won your election, was a seat that was held by a Democrat, and you were a Republican in the Illinois State Senate District 56. Erica, I want to talk to you a little bit about how you got to this point, but first, remind me a little bit about the 56th district, people who are listening right now who are going to have a new state senator to hold you accountable here in the next few years.
Yeah, sure. So the 56th district is like Alton, all the swings through Edwardsville, Glen Carbon, Granite City, all the way to Caseyville, O'Fallon, Illinois area.
Okay.
And as you mentioned, it was a pretty big overturn. We don't know when the last time a Republican sat in this seat, actually, is what I keep hearing. And at some point when we come down from all the chaos that's been happening right now since the election, we're going to sit down and research that, because I've heard some people say that they don't think that a Republican has been in the seat maybe in 50 years.
So that is so awesome to see that you were really able to, in many ways, defy the odds in Illinois. We were just talking off air a little bit, but I haven't talked much about Illinois because everybody pretty much knows how that went. And I'm trying to find the positive spots right now. There's going to be plenty of time to assess the situation in Illinois and decide what needs to be done to get it somewhere back to normal, because it did not happen in this election. You were able to overcome a lot of blueness in the state of Illinois. And I want to talk to you, Erica, about you served on the Madison County Board, and you also understand how local government works, but I wouldn't really consider you a politician of sorts, even when you were on the county board.
Public servant.
I mean, yes, that's definitely, Erica, the way you have always approached it. You're a small business owner. Erica makes a shampoo that I use, purple shampoo that I use, and you know, you're a mom. You live in the same neighborhood that I do, and you're not what people...
Thanks for displaying my sign, by the way.
I did, and thanks for putting a balloon on it. You are somebody who, to me, you're what we need more of in politics, and it's not easy to cut through across that, to bridge that gap from being within the system, a professional politico of sorts. There's nothing wrong with doing that and being that, but we need people in representative government that know what it was like to be part of the other side of that system. Erica, that's you. How did you get from, I'm on the county board, to, I think I'm going to run for state senate? What's that like?
Quite a big jump. The county board definitely did help prepare me. Like you said, I'm a mom, a small business owner. I don't want to say that I didn't pay attention to politics before, but I was not plugged in. I was reading the news like most people, but I was having babies and running my business and paying attention to the things I needed to pay attention to, but I wasn't in the weeds, or wouldn't have even been able to tell you, here's how you run for public office back then. And I know we've talked about this before. I'm a youth group leader. I was walking out of youth group one night with someone complaining about property taxes, and he said, why don't you do something about it? And I had no idea, what would you even do about this? And he said, you should run for office, which I'm sure I laughed and was like, I would never do that, famous last words here 6 years later. But at that point, I really said, well, how would I even go about doing that? At that time, I didn't realize even the steps you take to get on a ballot, right? So there's timelines, and you need to get signatures to even get on a ballot. So a lot of, I'd like to run for office. If anyone's thinking about that, start doing the research into figuring that out now, or make phone calls to local parties, and you can ask those questions. I'm sure most of the county clerk's offices have that information on it. But I think something that people who aren't plugged into think is they probably don't even know how to get on the ballot and realize how far in advance that one must do that to go to your neighbors and get signatures. And so I did have some help with people who helped walk me through that at that point. And so you have to step out of your comfort zone a little bit. But I think when especially in Illinois, when there's policies that are happening that we're just not happy with, there's a will to make a change, and you can either sit back and nothing's going to happen, or you can step up and try and do something about it. So
tell me about the state Senate in Illinois. I mean, there's a supermajority of Democrats in both houses. So you're going to be a Republican. You're going to be one of few Republicans who are in the state Senate there. But accountability is a really big deal. And how you choose to represent the 56th district with, you won very fair and square. You won pretty soundly, especially considering a lot of the Democrats that did prevail in this midterm election. How do you take your status in the state Senate as a member of the super minority? You're going to have very little power. I actually find if I were in your shoes, I would almost find that emboldening, because you really can't do much as a Republican in the Illinois State Senate. What you can do is hold people accountable, and you can get that information back to the people in your district so they know what's going on. What kind of mandate do you feel you have from your district when the party doesn't have a lot of strength there? What can you do for the 56th?
I think communication is key. Like you said, there's so many things that happen that people are busy and not paying attention. The Safety Act is a really great example. We were just hearing about the Safety Act within the last few months on social media and in our news. That act passed 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And we didn't really hear a whole lot about it because people weren't discussing it then. So I think communication is really key, of letting people know exactly what's happening so that they are aware of what's going on in Springfield. Sometimes our news down in our area is not always plugged into reporting all of that. And Unfortunately, that's kind of something that we're just seeing with the demise of even like the newspaper. When I initially started on county board in 2016, there were several reporters that would always show up at events or at meetings. And now you maybe have one, or you have, papers that are listening to it online and sharing one reporter and all that. So there's just not a lot of coverage. So unless the average person is plugged in, they're not hearing it. So I think communication is just a really necessary part, even if that's communicating something people are going to be happy about or not happy about.
I would think that this radio station does cover the majority of your district, right?
Yes.
So we're going to be very in tune. I'm very happy to say that my representative in the House and my representative in the state Senate, they're both Republicans. So I feel like, okay, my work here is done, except for the fact that they drew me out of Katie Stewart's district. So she used to be my representative, and we're gonna keep working on trying to turn the Southern Illinois area red. I look at the results that came in Madison County, and I know that I'm sure you were watching those county board elections to see, kind of where because that was your home previously. Can you talk to me a little bit about the Metro East? And over the course of the last 10 years, it's seen a pretty dramatic change in at least the voting habits of the people who are right here listening to 97 right now or in our area.
You're right. So in 2016, when I was elected to the county board, it had a Democrat majority for as long as anyone could ever remember. Republicans made some promises, were elected in 2016, kept those promises, and I think people did pay attention to that, and that has started a change there that, running in a district that includes a lot of Madison County was helpful. And it was helpful to be able to say, hey, a lot of people make promises. A lot of candidates are going to make promises to lower your taxes. I did. Some candidates will make promises to lower your taxes and just freeze them for a short time and call that a tax break.
Not enough.
No. We actually did it, and it was for real. I was kind of taking a little jab at our Illinois legislators for they freezing that gas tax, freezing that grocery tax.
And then they take credit for it.
Right.
Yeah, they raise your taxes. They pause them when it's convenient for them politically. They put stickers up on the gas tanks to remind you of who did that. It's like, you started this whole freaking thing. Give me a break. We're speaking with Erica Conway Harris, the new state senator for the 56th district in Illinois, my state senator. Excited about her victory there. What kind of message do you have to Illinois? Illinois, like I said earlier, haven't talked a whole lot about it because people know that it did not go well in the state of Illinois. Blue states got bluer, red states got redder in this past election. There's an enormous amount of division. Illinois is made up of Cook County and pretty much everybody else. And in order for Illinois to be the strong Illinois that it needs to be, there's got to be a way for those two groups to work together. I don't think that we've gotten there yet. But what's your message to Illinois constituents that you have, Illinois voters that are maybe listening that might be more in the St. Clair County area? Do you have any hope to give them?
I think there's always hope. Something people don't realize, but they hear is, during campaigns, you door knock. The reason you're door knocking is to meet people. I met people who were not Republicans, who I still had great conversations with. Their voices matter. And actually, some of them were like, I'm a Democrat. You're not my person, right? And I'd say, try me. What matters to you? And oftentimes, we would walk away with having a lot of similarities. And I think that's something that people don't realize when they're on social media fighting with people. This is the enemy. No, we have to work together, and we're really a lot closer on some issues than people probably think, right? And I experienced that so many times at the door where people would say, I vote Democrat. I noticed you're a Republican. I'd say, try me. Yeah. What's your big issue? Let's talk. And even if we didn't agree, their perspective still matters. They've come to that conclusion based on their life experiences. But oftentimes, what really is mattering to people right now is that they're paying more for gas. They're paying more for groceries. Why is this happening, and what can we do about it? And that's where we can really all come together.
And truthfully, you have to be able to have those conversations and be willing to have those conversations, because should you win that election, they still need to know who you are. Just because they didn't vote for you doesn't mean you don't represent them.
Right.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing, Erica, what you are able to do in this district as a Republican in a traditionally blue district in the Illinois 56th State Senate District. And I want to be in contact with you. I want you to be in contact with us. It's important that people do get that information. I know a lot of Illinois voters do get their information from this show specifically. So we're very grateful that you came on here with us today. And you are welcome back anytime. I mean, she has my cell phone number, so she knows how to reach me.
I'm going to tell you, we've had a lot of requests for media, and I said I am going to Annie Frey first.
We appreciate that. And that's about you guys, folks, because you are important, and we want to make sure that we always prioritize information and getting information out to the people in this listener area. And Erica, I am so happy that you won. I remember talking to you about it before I remember I was at Disney World and you were like, I'm considering this. And we had the discussion and I said, well, I think you should do it, but you need to decide that for yourself. And here we are.
I remember that.
Yes.
It seems like a lifetime ago.
It was. And here we are, and you have won, and I cannot wait to see what you do next.
Thank you.
Thanks
for having us.
Absolutely.
Always.
Erica Conway Harris, the new state senator for the Illinois 56th District, in studio with us. You may now commence with all of the other interviews that probably won't all be this nice. But you go get them. We appreciate you. Let's take a quick break. Tyrus is going to join us on the other side of this quick pause that we're going to take. Make sure you go to the Annie Frey YouTube channel and vote in our YouTube live chat poll. Where do you cast the most blame for the missed red wave? Poor candidates, Republican leadership, poor polling, or the media? Go let us know what you think. Cast your vote in that poll. Kind of ironic to vote for polling in a poll, but whatever. Go to the Annie Frey YouTube channel. We'll be back with Tyrus in a minute.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
The med spa at the Institute of Natural Health understands how difficult it is to maintain healthy skin and how much this can affect someone's life. With the right combination of treatments and products, they can help you keep your skin looking healthy and more youthful, while also reducing and preventing damage. Take your first step towards healthy skin at the med spa at the Institute of Natural Health. Visit them at inhstl.com or call to schedule at 314-293-8123. That's 314-293-8123.
Diamonds Direct's legendary pre-holiday sale is coming November 18th through 20th. You get instant savings, 20% off virtually everything. Plus, top jewelry designers are flying in with their entire collections, all on sale. An expanded selection of rings, earrings, pendants, bands, bracelets, all new fashion jewelry. Lowest prices of the year. Shop early for the holidays and save big. Get special financing too. Details at diamondsdirect.com. It's 3 days only. Mark your calendar, November 18th, 19th, and 20th at Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
Hi, this is Brian with Velocity Home Buyers, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-782-3333. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition and any price range in the St. Louis area. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that needs updating, but you don't have the time or money for it? Great, because I love buying outdated houses. I buy vacant houses, job relocation houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 314-782-3333. That's 314-782-3333.
Everybody knows you gotta get it at Clement. Everybody knows you gotta get it at Clement. Find the car you want, new or used. Get it at Clement, get pre-approved. Everybody knows you gotta get it at Clement. Everybody knows you gotta get it at Clement. ClementAutoGroup.com.
Hi, my name is Curtis Barks with Complete Auto Body and Repair. In honor of our newest location in Cottleville, for any new customers, simply come into any of our 6 locations and ask us to pay the first $50, and we will. That's right. That means brakes, suspension, alignments, air conditioning, even our auto body work. Please come see our team or visit us at CompleteAB.com. If it's not perfect, it's not complete. Others can't compete with Complete Auto Body.
Dad, and service.
Oh yeah, and service.
He fixed the car.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service now offers insulation services. Did you know 9 out of 10 homes are under-insulated? Increase your energy savings and comfort with better insulation. For details, visit aircomfortservice.com.
The results are in, but the coverage continues. 97.1 is your home for analysis and opinion on the 2022 midterms. So keep it here. This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Stupid, I don't care what your daddy do.
I know there's a temptation to start talking about 2024. No. 2022 is not over.
Great point.
Every Republican energy needs to go to grinding the Biden agenda to a halt. And that could go straight through the state of Georgia on December 6th.
Does that include Trump?
I think he needs to put it on pause. Absolutely. Look, he'll make that decision. He'll make his own decision. But
does he go to
if
Georgia?
I'm advising any contender, DeSantis, Trump, whomever, no one announces 2024 until we get through December 6th.
Do you see the former president a need for him to go to Georgia?
I think we've got to make strategic calculations. Governor DeSantis, I think he should be welcome to the state given what happened last night. You got to look at the realities on the ground. And Herschel Walker, we've got to win the Senate. That's it, guys. Got to win the Senate.
You're becoming like my most stable relationship.
Enough said.
Well, we are always excited to welcome Tyrus back onto the show, the co-host of the Tyrus and Tim podcast. He's on Gutfeld. He's a Fox News contributor and author of his own book, Just Tyrus, a Memoir. Tyrus, welcome back to the show. Good to have you here.
Always a pleasure.
Well, we appreciate you being here. Now, the Kayleigh McEnany comment about wanting to put any 2024 presidential conversation on hold until, I guess, after December 6th when the Herschel Walker, Raphael Warnock runoff happens. Do you agree with that sentiment that we got to hold off on all of these presidential aspirations before the Senate is decided?
I think the two are further apart. I think we saw that in the midterms in terms of whether Trump declares or not. I think it's pretty much general knowledge that he is. Whether he officially says it or not, it's not really going to change the meter. I think we saw the emphasis is on bridge builders, and we saw the emphasis was on Abbott and Kemp and, of course, DeSantis and Rubio. So, yeah, I think that saying him hold or not hold, I think it's more about the rhetoric that hurts President Trump. I think, if anything, America also let us know that the last thing they want to hear is complaining and poor sportsmanship and that type of stuff. And we saw with a lot of those candidates, but you can get an endorsement from President Trump, you get an endorsement from President Obama, but you have to have substance behind it. And I think we saw a lot of those Republican candidates did not have substance behind it when it came down to brass tacks and what makes you different. So I think whether he declares or not is really irrelevant at this point. It's just, are Republicans going to show up? Are more Republicans going to show up for Herschel than Democrats are going to show up for the other guy? That's really what it comes down to.
Do you think it's important to see a unified Republican Party behind Herschel Walker?
No, because it's not. And I think it's disingenuous. I think at this point we have to look at some harsh realities in the party, and that just like, you and I will be the first ones to go off about some of the extreme left stuff and the crazy progressive stuff. We also have to take a hard look in the mirror at the Republican Party in terms of the elections denying stuff and the conspiracy theory stuff really hurt and gave legs to the January 6th issues. And, with the leaking of the abortion thing certainly didn't help. I think that was a big factor, a lot bigger than a lot of people thought. And the other thing is, you have the January 6th running as a TV series, and then you have at rallies the president talking about his election was stolen from him, which then, in effect, gives the January 6th legs. because I just think there needs to be a change in perspective with the president, and he needs to do that, or he's going to find that the average Republican wants more of a DeSantis, where they have deeds and none of the extra stuff going with it, because it's hurt the country, and we saw it in the midterms. Republicans should have had a lot more victories when it came down to it. To the average person who's not an avid political guy, who's not watching 24 hours of TV, they're just seeing like, I don't want to deal with that. I just want things done. And, crying over spilled milk. And that's just not the American way. I said it on Gutfield. We get hit in the mouth all the time. And us average Americans, we check to see how many teeth we have left and how much blood, and then we got to clean ourselves up and keep moving. We don't cry about the job we lost. We're trying to get the new job because we have bills to pay. And I think that message resonated. And if the Republican Party's not paying attention to that, then we're going to continue to underperform.
Do you think the red wave ended up not happening, or do you think it was never actually there and people just interpreted what was going on, or even worse, maliciously tried to push something that they knew wasn't going to materialize?
I think sometimes you have to tip your hat to the other side, which they outflanked us, outsmarted us. I made a lot of jokes about them dumping all kinds of money into extreme right candidates to beat moderate Republicans. And in the end game, it works because a lot of the election deniers and the conspiracy theorist stuff, it's not a table issue. We always, we talked about how, this stuff's not table issues. Well, the Republican, that was a big thing. And what is frustrating, and I think what we saw in Atlanta, what we saw in Florida, what we saw in Texas, the Republicans who didn't get into that stuff, and in some cases even bumped heads with the former administration, they just got about taking care of their constituents. And we saw each one of those, and I call them, we need more Republicans building bridges, not ones crying over stuff that happened before, because it's just unrelatable. Independents and people who are dealing with stuff now don't care about that stuff. I know me personally, it's the last thing I want to hear about, So we saw that, and we saw great. Florida is a great example where party had really nothing to do with it. DeSantis, Rubio, his administration, his team, they took care of Florida. Democrats voted for DeSantis. Independents voted. It was a unified, and you hear it across the board. I don't care what part of Florida you're in. You stop the other person, and they love what he did. Look how he handled the hurricane. Look how he handled the pandemic in Atlanta.
It's about substance there.
It's 1,000. You're so right. It's about what have you done for me lately? What are you doing for me now? And every time you get on the microphone, you talk about the stolen election and all this other stuff. It's just a disconnect, because we're like, we have to live in the now. We have to keep going. It's not coming back. And I think the president made a huge mistake by not just saying, yep, he won. Look what he did with it. Aren't you glad I'm able to come back?
Yeah.
I think that would have been a stronger message. And you wouldn't have all this issues like, please don't declare. That means absolutely nothing to him. We all know he's running. Okay. It's not, and I just hope that he's able to kind of look, and President Trump wouldn't be where he is today if he wasn't able to think and adjust and move on. I know that the media would like to paint him as a pitcher, as a guy who was unable to change, and he's furious right now and throwing tantrums, but, he didn't get where he was at, to the level where he's at, not being able to change. And I hope that he listens to the message, and we can move on from talking about what happened in the pandemic and the election. Joe Biden's our president, good, bad, or indifferent, and it's a lot of bad and indifferent. But there's an opportunity. There's an opportunity there for Republicans to learn from that and get back to substance.
Yeah.
DeSantis, Kemp, and Abbott, look at it, and it's across the board too. The Democratic mayor, and I always forget his name, in Texas, that was looking out for his constituents, that was busing people to New York. He had a great day too. Why? Because it's substance. He was taking care of his city, and they felt like their representative was doing their job.
Yeah, watching the Florida campaigns and the Texas campaigns, those candidates were able to call scoreboard in the campaign, and they got to call scoreboard after the election. And that just shows that substance does matter.
Yeah, and the Republican, we have a great plan, and we want to get back to getting the country back on track. And look at Florida. Atlanta overcame a lot. And, you don't understand the barrage that the governor was under there. He was basically being called a white supremacist every day. They were fraudulent claims about how he was stopping Black Americans from voting and all this. They even woked out the All-Star game to Colorado. Like, it's just unbelievable the things that he overcame because he stayed the course. He took care of his people. He didn't engage and smoked her. Like, Abrams was a laugh. Beto O'Rourke, same thing. All the money in the world, but they had no substance. They spent a lot of people's money. But at the end of the day, you said it best. Scoreboard.
Yeah,
and
my favorite thing to be able to say.
And that was my favorite thing playing football. A fan be like, "You suck." Scoreboard.
Mm-hmm.
We're up 25. So and that's what this. I think you've got the catchphrase of the week. I think you just say the midterm said scoreboard.
Yeah. Yeah. At the end of the day, red wave or not, it looks like the Republicans will certainly have the House. They could have the Senate. And the places where conservatism was actually on the ballot, Republicanism was actually on the ballot, they resoundingly won in the face of the entire country. The Democratic Party pointing to Texas and Florida saying, look at these terrible Republicans. Scoreboard.
If you live in Florida and Ohio and you have conservative values, in Texas, in Atlanta, you had a good midterm. If you are in a blue state and you are a conservative, you need to start thinking about, do I need to relocate? Because the blue, they are not going to change anything. They had no reason to. It's kind of like, since we're going to keep this with sports, they're basically 7-9 and they won their division and they get a home game in the playoffs. Even though they have a losing record on everything. Yep. They have a good day and they're acting accordingly, and there's no reason for them to change. So they're going to double down. They lost the midterm. And the stuff's changing because literally while we're talking, the Senate race in Nevada just flipped. He now is behind. It's getting wider in Arizona. So it's looking like they're going to keep the Senate, just off the numbers we're seeing with the late votes coming in. There's still a few 100,000 out. And then the House majority might be a lot slimmer than we thought. So if I was in my family, like I live in Louisiana, and although New Orleans is pretty blue, I live in a conservative city. So and that's why I live there, because so a lot of Americans who have conservative values need to start thinking about some of these red states, because the blue states and the progressive agenda did not get dented enough to even the president profoundly said, I'm not changing anything. And that to me is troublesome. But you would think we're just seeing that there's no reason to change or bend or even debate the issues when you can run on Monster MAGAs, January 6th, and election matters. And that stuff, coupled with the abortion thing, it wasn't a hard sell for the media to make it look like democracy was in trouble. And I thought, no way, no one's going to pay attention to that. And they paid attention to that.
Tyrus, thank you so much for being with us today. I think you make some incredible points, of course, as always. That's why we always say
you owned it. I'm sorry. Scoreboard.
Scoreboard.
You broke it down. It took me a long way to get to scoreboard.
Well, it's always a great place to end up. Tyrus, we'll have you back next week. Thanks for being with us.
Yep. Next time the Bruins play the Blues, scoreboard.
Oh, that's very likely at this point in time. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Tyrus. Always love having him on, and he was able to work us in his schedule today. We're looking into those Nevada results. I don't have that on my information here, but maybe the New York Times and Fox News websites aren't updated yet. We'll have that for you when we come back. We'll get the crew back in here to discuss more on this YouTube live chat poll. Where do you cast the most blame for the missed red wave? Go to the Annie Frey YouTube channel and vote. Leave a comment. We'll be back in a minute.
You know it gives me the chills. Stupid when I see you
have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Don't paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
KFTK FM Florissant.
Driven by the Bommarito Automotive Group.
97.1 FM Talk.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Midterm mysteries. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. It may be days before control of Congress is decided, but the White House says the president is preparing to work with a potential new House leader.
White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre didn't reveal details of a Wednesday conversation between President Biden and House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, who could become Speaker. She did say the president's intention is to see where there may be common ground.
This is a president who has made that a priority, not just as president, but as vice president and also as senator. And so he's, just as long we are delivering for the American people, that is something that he wants to see.
Jean-Pierre says Leader McCarthy's ascension is not assured. Many more midterm votes still need to be counted.
Fox's Gernal Scott. 2 Senate races also remain too close to call in Nevada and Arizona, which has hundreds of thousands of ballots still to count. Earlier today, the president saying he'll oppose any effort to undo his agenda after a new report showing less inflation than expected in October. Tonight, President Biden heads to Egypt for a UN climate change summit. And next week, he'll be in Indonesia for the G20, where he's set to hold his first in-person meeting with China's President Xi on the sidelines.
The White House says the two leaders will discuss efforts to maintain and deepen lines of communication, managing competition responsibly, and working together where interests match up. Adding the discussions will include a wide range of regional and global issues.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz in Washington. The White House won't say what tense topics might be raised, including Taiwan, for instance, or the origins of COVID. Tropical storm Nicole racing across Florida toward the Gulf after hitting near Vero Beach as a rare November hurricane early today. Some homes collapsing in areas previously damaged by Hurricane Ian. First winter storm of the season from the Rockies could dump up to 18 inches of snow in North Dakota. America is listening to Fox News.
You've got advanced prostate cancer, but you're not waiting around. You want straight talk, the facts about Orgovix.
Orgovix Relagolix 120 milligram prescription tablets is a treatment for adults with advanced prostate cancer. Fact: Orgovix is a different kind of androgen deprivation therapy treatment, a pill, not an injection. Orgovix may cause serious side effects, including a heart condition called QT prolongation. Tell your doctor right away if you feel dizzy, faint, have a racing or pounding heart, or chest pain. Orgovix can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during treatment and for 2 weeks after Orgovix treatment. The most common side effects include hot flushes, increased blood sugar and blood fat levels, muscle and joint pain, decreased blood hemoglobin levels, increased liver enzymes, tiredness, constipation, and diarrhea. Other side effects include weight gain, decreased sex drive, and erectile function problems. Orgovix may cause infertility. Talk to your doctor if infertility is a concern for you.
Go with Orgovix. Ask your doctor. For more facts, visit gowiththefacts.com.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling. Weather.
The official 97.1 FM Talk Weather Center forecast: sunny, breezy, warm afternoon. We could set a record today, high 82. Partly cloudy, cool tonight, low 42. Clouds and then sun, breezy, cooler day tomorrow, the high 46. Clear and cold tomorrow night with the low at 29. And then partly sunny, chilly day on Saturday, the high Saturday at 39. I'm Steve Williams for 97.1 FM Talk.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/radio.
ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
My dad has a cold, but also has high blood pressure. That's why I got him Vicks NyQuil High Blood Pressure for fast, powerful nighttime relief. Unlike some ordinary cold medicines, it's specially formulated for people like my dad. NyQuil High Blood Pressure is sugar-free, alcohol-free, and decongestant-free.
Vicks NyQuil High Blood Pressure. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, cold and flu for people with high blood pressure.
Like my dad.
Medicine. Use as directed.
Hey, Dak Prescott here. Why do I choose proven quality sleep from Sleep Number? Because better sleep elevates my game. My Sleep Number 360 smart bed helps me fall asleep faster, keeps me cool, and effortlessly adjusts for my best sleep. That's more focus, more edge, and more highlights. And that means more wins for all of us.
And now save 40% on the Sleep Number 360 Special Edition Smart Bed only for a limited time. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com.
Don't miss the Big Night In, a movie and media event on November 17th from 5 to 8 p.m. at the Sound Room in Chesterfield. Be among the first to see the hottest home entertainment items for the holiday season and the year ahead. Hear from experts with the industry's premier manufacturers: Sony, Kaleidoscape, Epson, Paradigm, Anthem, Stewart Film Screen, Samsung, EPV Screens, and JL Audio. They'll lead demos and learning sessions. I'll even be there discussing the trends in media and how I experience all of this at home. Limited space is available. Reserve your spot today at thesoundroom.com. That's thesoundroom.com.
Sail with American Queen Voyages in North America's mighty rivers, Great Lakes, oceans, and expeditions to the wilds of Alaska. Call 844-744-0794 or contact your travel professional.
Need a break from the sound bites and the talking heads? Do you want information you can actually use? Information that'll change your life for the better? Then listen to the Del Walmsley Radio Show.
Listen to the Del Walmsley Radio Show this Saturday afternoon from 1 to 2 p.m. on 97.1 FM Talk.
If the media ignores them, then we're talking to them. And we're posting it all as it happens. 97.1 on Twitter and Facebook.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
SNL gets flack for boasting that Dave Chappelle will be hosting. Saturday Night Live is being slammed for transphobia again. No. After announcing that Dave Chappelle will host the show this week, shocking regular viewers who aren't used to seeing someone be funny. SNL thought Chappelle would make a good choice because he's one of the country's most popular comedians. But they forgot about the 14 online whiners who are supposed to control everything we watch and do.
So Gutfeld was talking last night about SNL and how unfunny it is and the fact that they're going to have Dave Chappelle on. I will clear my schedule to make sure that I get to watch Dave Chappelle when he's on Saturday Night Live. He makes fun of everybody, and it's comedy. That's what comedy is. So the question was, how in the world can SNL have a guy like Dave Chappelle on? Well, because, you know, in Netflix, when he had his Netflix special, he had made fun of some people in the transgender community, not really specific people, but just the community. He makes fun of all communities. Nobody has a problem when he's making fun of white people or when he's making fun of, in many cases, he makes fun of black people. He makes fun of all people. That's what he does. That's Dave Chappelle, and people laugh. People find it funny. The idea here is that Dave Chappelle was supposed to be canceled.
Hopefully SNL stays strong. Backlash from the online mob can feel a lot bigger than it is, especially when you forget that it's just one person who goes by them. They should let SNL focus on bringing back the classic skits that really made us laugh, especially the Coneheads.
Yeah. And then he showed a picture of Fetterman, which there was that.
People aren't actually that offended. That many people aren't actually that offended. It's people pretending that they are because they don't want to get canceled, who are critics or people who, producers of shows and stuff like that. They're realizing that these people, there aren't that many of them.
Yeah, they are. But the thing is, they're really loud.
Yeah.
Like they truly are a they. Because one person could be makes it because if you don't have a job, you can be 500 people online.
Jimmy Fallon was on that show last night, and he made such a great point. He was talking about when he was a cab driver in New York City, and he would see all the time. He said it was called the lemon drop, and what would happen is in New York City, there would be people, you'd bump into somebody on the street, and then they'd drop their glasses, and then the person would freak out and be like, "Oh my gosh, you broke my glasses," and act like a crazy person until the person would be like, "Okay, I'm sorry, dude, here's $20. I'm sorry." It was a shakedown. It was a scam. And he goes, people would do this over and over and over again. And people, the person who was bumped into, who was made to feel as though they actually did injure this person, break their glasses, or cause some harm to this person or their thing, whatever it might have been, until they realized that it was a scam, they'd always fork over some money. And they were getting taken. Once you realize that it's a scam, you go, take a hike, dude, and you move on. And that's what cancel culture has been. The constant bump in, it's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Let me do what I can to make it better. I'm so sorry." The immediate reaction to an altercation or an instance where there appears to be something or someone that is hurt, people immediately react out of genuine concern and compassion and say, "I'm sorry, what can I do to help?" That is the woke virtue signaling world in a nutshell. It's a lemon drop. That's what Jimmy Fallon called it. It's such a good point that society is so used to getting bumped into over and over and over again on the street, and you're just minding your business, and all of a sudden something bumps into you, and then you go, "Oh, I'm so sorry. How can I help you?" People are starting to realize that this is a scam. Dave Chappelle was the one to call the scam out very quickly. And of course he's going to receive backlash for saying what he said and doing what he did and being willing to include everybody in his comedy in his inclusive way that he does. And that upsets the status quo. That upsets the system that has been in place probably for about 15 years now. So that's never going to be easy, but you need a pioneer who's willing to go against the grain and not bow and cater to a system that's set up that is disingenuous. It is a scam. Did you see Jimmy Fallon when he...
I did. I saw the lemon drop scam.
Greg Gutfeld was shockingly impressed that Jimmy made a good point.
Yeah.
But don't you feel like that's the way it is? Like good people, if they're bumped into and glasses are dropped on the street and something bad happens, you feel bad. Your immediate reaction is to be kind.
Yes. Well, I think people want to. They don't want to be rude. They don't want to, do all these other things. And then there are people out there who love to take advantage of that, whether it be for financial gain or for clout gain. And it seems to me that this whole cancel culture thing is more about clout than anything. Look how virtuous I am for calling you out for not having the same virtue as me.
Doesn't Saturday Night Live know when they asked Dave Chappelle to host what's coming?
They have to. They have to know. There's no way they can't know.
Who's Dave Chappelle's number one target on
SNL?
On Saturday. What point's he going to make?
I wonder if he actually turns and goes after the people who... I don't know if he's going to call out the actual SNL writers, but turning on those people out of the gate.
How?
Monologue.
No, why would he go after SNL writers?
Not necessarily that he turns on them like by name, but it's those people. Well, that's some of the people who've been complaining is SNL writers. So I wonder if he is just going to have this instinct to come out real strong and just go after the people who are going after him.
No, I think he just doubles down on the things that
he's already doing.
Air quotes got him in trouble in the first place.
Maybe.
Yeah.
bigger. He's going to go bigger on it because he's going to, he's going to be on that national live TV, whatever. And I think that he will go after, maybe he even goes after the audience who, like, he'll make the point, like, who does this sound like? Blah, 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 blah. And he gives, like, the example of, I'm offended, I'm a bliss, I'm a that.
He always goes to
And he's
the
like,
audience.
That's
He picks
you.
Yeah, he picks people out of the audience, by demographic, really. I don't think he knows them personally. But he calls those things out in front of people. It's like nobody's safe in a Dave Chappelle audience. He's going after everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, what the Netflix transgender community was asking to do was be a carved out section of person that was safe.
This is not a point that's not been made before, but it's just when it happens in real time and you watch it, it still boggles the mind to see the same people that within the last 10 years were the people yelling tolerance.
No, we're not. Tolerance isn't even allowed
But
anymore.
that cannot coexist with this idea of the wokeness of only within these barriers right here can you speak.
They were yelling tolerance, but they didn't mean it.
They didn't.
It's the exact same thing as every other term they've redefined. Tolerance means you agree with me. Bipartisanship means you agreed with me.
It used to be about tolerance. Tolerance was a word that was one of the, I guess, original woke words that was used. But if you tolerate something right now, that is not enough.
No.
You don't. If you accept something, that is not enough. I go back to the Office Space 15 pieces of required flair that you must wear to show the people, anybody who you come into contact with, the amount of virtue that you need them to know that you possess. And the virtue is not necessarily virtue that you even need to have. It's virtue that you need other people to believe you possess. And that's all it is about. It's as selfish as it gets. The suggestion that you wouldn't have your 15 pieces of flair on your vest indicates that you have hate in your heart, as evidenced by the hate has no home here sign, that unless it exists in your front yard, then clearly you know that hate comfortably resides at the address where the sign is not displayed. There isn't tolerance is almost evil. To suggest that that you will tolerate something that isn't exactly like you. I am a suburban mom, wife, Christian, and I'm a conservative. There are other things that I am. I don't know if they matter from a demographic block standpoint, but those are the things that I am. Most of those things are things that I should put behind, that I should work to prioritize the counter of what I am. And if I don't possess that, if it's my skin color, I think I got the woman thing going on, so that makes me a more important class than men. Unless there's a man that wants to be a woman, then I need to get behind. In the woke ladder of importance here, women are above men, but men who want to be women are above women because virtue.
Your place on the totem pole is dropping as you talk.
It's tough, ironically, by men.
Yeah. It's the thing about the whole SNL thing with Dave Chappelle, and remember when Elon Musk hosted too? They had the same issue. This time it's more the writers. Last time there were actual cast members, like I think A.D. Bryant was one of them, who would not appear on screen with him because he's Elon Musk. This is before the Twitter stuff, you know?
Imagine having that thin skin.
It's really amazing. And to think about the state of art or especially comedy, to be in a writer's room, I put myself in there because I'm like, oh, I like to write. What would it be like to be in the writer's room of Saturday Night Live right now? I don't know. They just announced that they have their first non-binary somebody in the writer's room and on the cast. And then if just having Dave Chappelle there makes you say, I cannot work with these people, and I'm not saying conservatives, I'm saying how would an average person walk into that environment and think, oh, this is a fine place for me to kick around ideas? You can't go into that kind of place and artistically spitball with other people.
No, because you're afraid of what will happen to you if you do.
Yes.
So the comedy ends up sucking.
And it all reflects that worldview.
But the other part of that is, too, I still don't think it's thin skin. It's self-righteousness.
Yeah.
It's these people are in there saying that I am too good for this. I am too important to appear with Elon Musk.
It's still about them.
It's always been about them, and it will continue to be about them. It's immaturity as well. It's that self-righteousness that is becoming prevalent, but it's the lack of the self-righteousness is why the lemon drop scheme worked, because people at that point didn't think that they were more important. It's like, I didn't really bump into you, you bumped into me, but that's all right. I will help you out.
So if you really want to send a message, what do? Do you watch SNL this weekend or don't you?
I think you do, because if they see
Just
boom,
what SNL wants.
boom, what a huge spike it was this week when we had somebody who was controversial, which now if you're controversial, you're probably moderate to conservative.
You know what? Can Dave Chappelle go on to Saturday Night Live and do an orange-faced Trump?
I would love to see that.
He 1,000% could.
And like paint his face orange.
Yes.
You're saying.
Like in the terrible, worst possible way, but orange type of way.
I mean, that sounds kind of funny.
Dave Chappelle has done whiteface.
Uh-huh.
The blind white supremacist
oh yeah
skit that Dave Chappelle did is one of the funniest things ever, because he's a black man who's blind and he's a white supremacist.
That's right.
And
That's
he
right.
says all these white supremacist things as a black man, and he doesn't know that he's black because he's blind.
Was that on the Dave Chappelle show?
Yeah.
Chappelle show.
Yeah. Man, I missed that boat. That was right in the age range I should have loved it.
Could
And I
you
missed
have?
it.
I mean, can you do that skit now? I think you should.
I think that one in particular you could probably get away with, but that kind of stuff is, I don't know, be careful.
Dave Chappelle can.
Which is why he should be their new Trump.
Oh my gosh.
I would watch it all the time.
That's fun. That's a funny idea.
Because Dave Chappelle is repelled by the idea of being anybody's person. He does not want to be the voice for black people. He doesn't want to be the voice for liberal people. He doesn't want to be the voice, like he'll make points that he made an amazing point about abortion in it was maybe 2 years ago that he had a stand up on Netflix. And he's talking about how if women have a choice when it comes to having babies, why don't men have a choice when it comes to supporting the babies? Why do men not have a choice? They don't. And his whole point is, his roundabout point is, if we want to advocate so hard for women to have choice in whether or not these babies live, and women should be empowered with that right, why would men also not have the choice as to whether or not to support these babies? Because if you're talking about what the men chooses to do, it's do I write the check or not? The women get to choose, does the child live or not? And his end point is, maybe if you don't want to remove the right for a man to have the right to choose, we should consider what we're talking about when women have the right to choose. And he never says, I'm pro-life, I'm pro-choice. He just says, here it is. Think about it. And then he moves on, probably to talk about transgender.
Interesting.
It's a great point. I
Yes.
agree with him. And, his conclusion might be women should have the choice on whether to have the child, and men should have the choice on whether to support it. He might be super pro-choice. But I think in his argument, I'm super pro-life.
Yeah, because yeah.
He's just stating facts that somebody can take in on their own and come to their own conclusion, and he doesn't arrive at any I think there are a lot of people who would be on very opposite ends of the spectrum who would hear him make that point and come to their own conclusions on the complete opposite end of the spectrums based on the same information.
Yeah, because when you started saying this is what Dave Chappelle said, my mind said, well, but the man already made the choice. Then you go, well, wait a minute. Actually, so did she.
Yes.
So,
100%.
Yeah, so it's exactly what you said. He's letting you make your own conclusions.
And if you're looking in that equation based on the information that is out there by the political people who are invested in everybody's bedroom, which decision is more extreme? It wouldn't be the one that you would provide to the man.
Yeah.
Yeah, think on that. Let's take a quick break. More Annie Frey show in a minute. Go vote in the Annie Frey YouTube live chat poll. Where do you cast the most blame for the misread wave? Poor candidates, Republican leadership, for polling or media. Give us your vote. Leave us a comment. Hannah's watching them as they come in. We'll be back in just a minute.
Feel so holy, 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 holy.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Feel so holy. I don't do well with the drama.
The listening you love is on the free Odyssey app. Your trusted local radio stations, coverage of your favorite teams, live news from your hometown, and millions of podcasts on demand. Best of all, you can completely customize your listening experience. Follow topics you care about, like leagues and teams. Pause or rewind your local sports and news, and add shows to your queue to catch up later. There's a lot to listen to, so get started and download the free Odyssey app today.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about the Diamond Shop. They've got an event tonight, and it is from 5 to 7:30 p.m. It's a girls' night out. It's today, 5 to 7:30 p.m. They're in Clayton on Central Avenue, and you can go to thediamondshop.net in order to get all the details that you need. You can bring friends. Here's what you're going to do. Create your own gift registry. Doesn't that sound fun? You can create a wish list, and then the gentleman in your life or somebody, maybe like a mom or somebody who might want to get you something extra special this holiday season, they'll know what you have picked out and they'll know what you have liked. They have fabulous new fashion jewelry. There are door prizes and a special gift bag and free valet parking. Hors d'oeuvres, chocolate martinis, and sangria. A ton of fun. It's a once-a-year event, and it's at the Diamond Shop this evening. They're also donating 5% of the sales to Backstoppers. This is a great opportunity to pick out something nice for yourself. And then in December, they've got a guys' night where guys get to go look at your wish list and buy something lovely. Go to the Diamond Shop where the Frey family shops for jewelry, and where I encourage you to go for your holiday shopping, for maybe your Valentine's Day shopping if you're planning ahead a little bit, online at thediamondshop.net.
The federal government is hiring 87,000 new IRS enforcement agents. Make no mistake, with spending out of control, they're looking to collect revenue. The first target will be you. If you have not paid your taxes or filed them in years, let me help you get that target off your back. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm here in St. Louis. So if you have unfiled returns, wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, now's the time to call the Lance Drury Law Firm before the IRS calls you. Your consultation is free, so don't put it off. The Lance Drury Law Firm focuses solely on tax resolution law. It's all we do. And if you have IRS problems, you have legal problems. Let us use our tax law resolution experience to guide you and work on your custom resolution plan. Call now. It's free and confidential. Call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120 or go to LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
It's Black Friday all month long at Dave Munganast St. Louis Honda and our pre-owned centers. Get a $200 gift card with any vehicle purchase at our pre-owned centers in South County or Bonne Terre. So come see the Munganast difference today or shop us 24/7 at DaveMunganast.com since 1965.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group at 314-993-9494. He'll show you how to participate in the market gains without ever losing a penny. Thomas is the official financial advisor of the Mark Cox Morning Show. Nobody wants to miss the important things in life, and if it's because of bad vision, you don't have to. Mark Cox here for my friends at Brenton Vision. They can help you out. That's why I want you to take 2 minutes today to call my friends at Brenton at 314-375-2020 or go online to BrentonVision.com. Your eyes are as unique as your fingerprint. Since Brenton Vision is the only place in Missouri offering all 7 forms of modern vision correction, they can create a customized treatment plan just for your vision. They helped my wife out. She chose the lens replacement therapy and now sees better than ever, and she loves it. You can have that same experience with Brenton Vision. They accept flex plans and medical spending plans as well at Brenton. So don't let that money expire or go to waste. See your best. Do what we did. Call Brenton Vision at 314-375-2020 or schedule online right now at BrentonVision.com.
97.1 FM Talk and Straight Realty would like to introduce you to Brian Kilmeade in person. December 9th. For details and to purchase your tickets now, visit 971talk.com/events. The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
I keep hearing you're concerned about my happiness. All that thought you.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. We were talking to Tyrus. He talked about the Nevada seat possibly flipping to the Democrats. I'm not seeing that yet. I wonder if he was talking about something other than the Senate. Did he say Senate?
He said that guy from Nevada.
I wonder if he was talking about the governor.
The governor's actually doing a little bit better than Laxalt right now. Laxalt's getting a little too close for comfort.
It's not as close. It's been within 1 to 2 points the whole time, though, since the middle of the night on election night.
Yeah. The people reading what's left, though, are saying, this is going to be a lot closer than we were hoping. So they don't know, but it's going to be.
Who's they? Who are
the
they
expert,
people?
the people who know Nevada well enough to know.
But who are they? Who are we citing here as resources?
Okay. Looking at Rich Barris, one of my favorite data analysts for big data polls.
And who's Rich Barris?
Big data polls
big data
owner.
So he's a pollster?
He is he's an analyst. So he does some polling, but he also does a lot of analysis. He is saying, among others, and I can't cite all of them off the top of my head, but he's one of them, who is saying this is going to come down to the wire.
Well, are they saying that are they making a prediction?
No, they're just saying it's going to be a lot closer than they were hoping.
Well, I could look at what's there now and say this is going to come down to the wire.
Yeah, it's been down to the wire.
Yeah.
It's been 84 years.
But he has looked comfortably ahead by a couple of percentage points. And they say Washoe County or whatever came in a lot better for Cortez Masto than they were expecting. Therefore, it's going to be a lot closer. That's all.
So what they were projecting didn't come true.
I don't know
therefore
what
they
they're
have to change their projection
at this point,
again.
what's the projection?
Let's lean into what they're saying right now.
I mean, we're actually counting votes now, so I think it means a little more once we're counting them.
Yeah, but I mean, like when you're saying looking at what's going to happen, you're counting votes now, and you're trying to project what's going to happen with future votes that have yet to be counted.
Yeah, but it's the same reason that you can call some races with 0% of the vote in. They know where votes are coming from.
But here's the thing: I could have called California with 0% of the votes in.
Yes.
I sound jaded, and it's because I am.
Everybody is. I'm with you.
I think it's bullcrap. I think it's all bullcrap. I think these people have made a name for themselves doing something that was relatively easy, and what was relatively easy is now incredibly difficult, and they're lost. I don't think they know what's going on.
And they're making so much money.
So much money.
I want to be one of those people that makes that money. That's what I'm trying to do.
I want you to make a lot of money as well, Ryan.
Well, the good news is it seems like you don't ever have to be right.
That's right. You can be a meteorologist.
Dave Murray would like a word with you, sir.
Yes, as long as you say.
I think meteorologists are working with a little more information and probably have a little bit better of a batting average. I keep looking right now to see if there's anything, and then I hate Twitter right now. I hate Twitter. Elon. Oh, I cannot sort my feed any longer into what matters and what doesn't. If you paid for your $8 blue check, good for you, because that is part of the free market system. But I'm about done.
If you paid for the $8 check, the check mark, and you have 43 followers, we're very disappointed in you right now.
I don't care how many followers anyone has. And I have a blue check on Twitter, and my show changed dramatically in what I was able to do because, yes, I became part of a small group of people on Twitter that was verified for what I professionally do. It doesn't indicate my value as a human being, but it did indicate that I was a person who was in an industry, it used to say, like, that maybe somebody out there might want to impersonate. And the idea was, there could be 100 Annie Frey accounts out there, but this is the one that's actually Annie Frey. Now, there aren't really that many people out there trying to impersonate me.
Right.
But there are people who could do that and try to use it as a way to slander me or to say things like they did to Elon Musk, Kathy Griffin. Yeah. And you get bounced that way. But the idea that I don't understand. I mean, what they have done is they have changed the purpose of what it means to be verified. And if being verified means you're willing to pay $8 to have a blue check to be in a club, the club isn't a club if it doesn't set anything aside. And it's so I don't like the perceived arrogance that comes along with the blue check, because that for sure exists. That's I people can disagree with me. You can have your own opinion of me whatsoever. That's not who I am. I don't tell people I am right now that I have a blue check, but I have gotten so many people on this show because when I tweet at them with a blue check, or if I react or comment to something on a blue check, it shows up in a blue check feed, a verified feed that if you're a blue check person, you have in your notifications, it's like notifications, mentions, and verified. That's how I get people on the show. That's how Jack Posobiec got on the show, because he saw me and he noticed me, and it helps me do my job, and it helps people see who I am. Am I any more valuable than you are sitting in your office cubicle right now? Absolutely not. In no way, shape, or form. But I do have a public persona that a lot of people don't. And I do have a show that has my name on it. I don't even want to be talking about this. I don't know how to talk about it without it. Like, I just...
The problem is that you and I are such opposites that I've been living as a blue check person, like with that arrogance, but without the blue check.
In real life.
Yes. And now my whole world's spun upside down because I was offended by Twitter. Now I don't know what to do because I could buy my way into that
Why were you
club.
offended by Twitter?
Because they didn't verify me.
Why would you have needed to be verified?
Because I'm arrogant. Because I have an attitude.
That's not what the blue check is about, though.
Because why wouldn't I be? I'm Ryan Wiggins.
That's exactly right.
All squares are rectangles. Not all rectangles are squares. Right. All blue checks. I guess I don't know if all arrogant. How does that work? All blue checks are arrogant. Not all arrogants are blue checks. It's a nice way of calling myself arrogant.
And now I don't know what to do because my whole social media presence
Are you going to buy
is
your blue
upside
check?
down. I don't know. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait it out because one thing I hate doing is spending money.
Here's what's going to happen.
One thing I love is notoriety.
Brad and I were talking about this. Are you going to be more notable with a blue check?
That's what I'm waiting to see. I don't know because if you can buy it, everybody's going to have it.
Everybody's going to have it. And
so,
I'm looking at my verified feed where I would go to see high profile, and like I was saying off the air before, I'm like bottom basement blue check. That's me. I feel like I got to sneak into the club and I'm like, hey guys. Nope, not even gonna say hey guys. I'm just gonna sit there quietly in the back and observe.
Hope nobody notices.
But if there's no common sense behind saying blue checks for everybody, $8, you get one. You're what are you even selling? What is the value of a blue check if literally anybody can acquire a blue check for $8? On Parler, you can get verified as an actual human being with your identification card that you turn in, and they will say, this is a verified person, which separates you from bots. That is a value on Parler that doesn't cost you anything. It just indicates you, in fact, are human.
Well, couldn't you theoretically, though, create an account right now and be like, I am Jojo the Dogbone, and here's a picture of Dogbone. That's me. I'm Jojo Dogbone. And get verified with that account?
Yes.
And with nothing.
Yes.
That's kind of why it doesn't matter.
I have people in my verified feed right now that are exactly that.
That and $8.
Yeah, exactly.
And their literal verified bio says $8 verified.
Sweet.
So good on you for getting what you want. I don't blame anybody who wants to go get it. I'm just saying, Elon Musk, what are you doing to this platform? Because does Joe the Dogbone get access to something that he didn't before other than a blue check next to his name on Twitter for his 40 followers?
I have no idea.
Does it just show how impossibly stupid a vast majority of Americans that would do this could possibly be, and how smart Elon Musk is for knowing it and grabbing their cash?
Heck yeah.
Because this is what I said to Brad before. There's no way that Elon Musk is doing this and this is the end game.
No.
This is not the end game. This is what happens. They're going to be, I'm making this up. This is what I expect to happen, if what I assume Elon Musk is going to do. There are going to be blue checks and there are going to be Navy checks. So get everybody who's always wanted to have the blue check. What's the unattainable thing that's now attainable that everyone is going to rush out? It's like the Furby of the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants one. 2 years later, you're like, why do I have a Furby? Everybody goes out and gets their $8 blue check mark. But then guess what happens on Black Friday? There are now Navy check marks. And those are the ones that the same blue checks that used to be are now Navy checks. And now there is an unattainable thing that the Navy checks that used to have a blue check for free, now the Navy checks are going to have to pay $25 a month, but they're going to want their status back and their access back. So they're going to pay $25 a month. And Elon Musk is going to have fired a bunch of people. He's making $8.25 off of all of these people who were previously paying nothing. He's making a ton of money. Twitter becomes profitable. People invest in Twitter. And we're all sitting here with every checks, blue checks, Navy checks for everybody. And what? Twitter still sucks. It's just still where we go to hate each other.
That's at that point,
Let's do it the way we used to do it and go hate each other out on the streets. And hand out checks one way or the other.
On Black Friday, I'm telling you what, I am buying that Navy check mark for $25.
You won't be able to.
Just so I can be
you
like,
won't be
you
able
guys,
to.
I'm on Twitter and I'm in the Navy.
No, the Navy won't. The Navy check mark or the whatever it is, the next status won't be achievable by everybody else for money. It'll be an elite status.
It'll
be the same thing now. And so everybody who was not checked before will now feel really good about their blue check that they're paying $8 a month for, and it won't mean anything.
It'll be an application fee that's on that Navy check. So it'll be like you said, it'd be $25, but it's $25 application fee, and that doesn't mean you're going to get the Navy check.
Yes.
I'm okay with going to that model again, though, because then I can be arrogant with no substance and be mad that I don't have.
So
the
you'd
Navy
be
check.
the same.
Go back to being the same. Yeah.
Are you going to be a blue check, a no check, or what?
Well, if blue check means nothing, I'll be a no check. If Navy check exists and I don't get it, then I'll continue to be the exact same as I am now.
Ryan will add the angry face emoji to the end of his name on Twitter.
Do you think that the blue check is watered down now?
Yeah, of course
for sure. For sure. Because I used to look at, like, if I'd see a piece of information, one of the things I'd want to do is, like, click on the name and make sure that they were verified and who they were. And, like, if, the verification thing was, like, a quick way of knowing this is probably an up-and-up account.
Maybe we should have public ratings of verification.
What does that mean?
I don't know how many followers I have. I have 16,000 followers. So 16,000 people who follow me should be able to say, on a scale of 0 to 10, how much should this person be verified? And if the public says, oh, she's a 9, she's a 2, like, what is the collective of people who follow you? How much do they value you? So that you have, like, a public rating that could shift to and from. And then you have people like, who's super polarizing? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She's a huge following. She's going to have a ton of people who are going to say 10. She's going to have a ton of people who say she's 0.
She's a 5.
And maybe if enough people rate you low enough, your public perception goes down enough, they put you on a no-fly list, and we can turn it into like a Chinese social credit system. Is that where you're...
That's exactly where I was going. Let's go to break. I can't.
Flowers on the wall, that don't bother me at all. Playing solitaire till the
This is the Annie Frey Show.
smoking cigarettes and watching Captain Kangaroo.
Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Last night I dressed in tails, pretended I was on the town.
With thousands of installs and the highest possible rating for the Better Business Bureau, Rhino Shield is the company you want protecting your house. Mark Cox here. I can tell you personally, I've got Rhino Shield on my home. I'm 16 years into a 25-year warranty. How many companies are offering a 25-year warranty on their product? Well, Rhino Shield does because it's been lab tested. It's 8 to 10 times thicker than regular paint. When the snow and the sleet come this winter, you don't have to worry about whatever's underneath the Rhino Shield. It's coated with a ceramic coating. It deflects the sun's rays. It's beautiful, and it lasts, and they stand behind their product. When it's time to coat your business, your home, your condo, your church, Call Rhino Shield for your free estimate. That's 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or go online today to schedule your free estimate at 877-25rhino.com.
If you own a house in St. Louis and you want to sell it as is without any inspections or need to make any repairs, call Chris Buys Homes St. Louis at 314-782-8000 or at chrisbuyshomeStLouis.com and get your cash offer without any obligation, commissions, banks, or headaches. Chris buys vacant houses, inherited houses, fixer-uppers, beautiful houses, even the tenant won't pay their rent apartment. Google Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis. That's Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis. And check out the best reviews from satisfied customers. When you sell to Chris, you decide when you want to move, according to your schedule and your terms. Go to chrisbuyshomesinstlouis.com. Google Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis or call 314-782-8000. That's 314-782-8000. And get the offer you have been waiting for. Chris Buys Homes in stlouis.com. Chris Buys Homes in stlouis.com or call 314-782-8000.
Jules on Hampton in St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches on site. Jules on Hampton is a premier jeweler with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jules on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks, sports memorabilia, and figurines too. Jules on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa. Call them at 314-752-5000. Jules on Hampton.
They're back, cocked and loaded. The Family Arena presents 38 Special with special guests Molly Hatchet and Black Oak, Arkansas. Saturday, November 19th, the Family Arena. Tickets on sale now at the Carroll House box office located at the Family Arena or Ticketmaster.com. Presented by the Family Arena.
Yes, Epics and Classics featuring John Anderson with the Band Geeks. May 9th, the Family Arena. Progressive Pioneers. Yes, Epics and Classics featuring John Anderson with the Band Geeks live. Research seat tickets on sale now at the Carroll House box office at the Family Arena or through Ticketmaster. Don't miss Yes, Epics and Classics featuring John Anderson with the Band Geeks.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing, together millions of things for our planet. Planning a road trip this fall? Maximize your fuel economy by inflating tires to proper pressure and packing light. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Sell your car the easy way at Bommarito. No matter what kind of vehicle you have or what shape it's in, car, truck, van, or SUV, just go to Bommarito.com. Answer a few questions about your vehicle and we'll give you an instant real purchase offer. Then we'll come to you or you come to us and we'll pay you on the spot. So when you're ready to sell your vehicle, go to Bommarito first. A better experience, a better price, better service. The automotive leader, Bommarito, Missouri's #1 automotive group, open 24/7 at Bommarito.com.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Scott Jennings, CNN political contributor.
Trump's never been weaker. DeSantis has never been more popular. It's never benefited a single person to wait as it relates to the presidency.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
You mentioned that Americans are frustrated. In fact, 75% of voters say the country is heading into the wrong direction. Despite the results of last night, what in the next 2 years do you intend to do differently to change people's opinion of the direction of the country, particularly as you contemplate a run for president in 2024?
Nothing, because they're just finding out what we're doing. The more they know about what we're doing, the more support there is. Do you know anybody who wants us to get rid of the change we made on prescription drug prices and raise prices again? Do you know anybody who wants us to walk away from building those roads and bridges and the internet and so on? I don't know. I think that the problem is the major piece of legislation we passed, and some of it bipartisan, takes time to be recognized.
Yeah, dummies.
Yeah, you dum-dums.
I can't stand it. That's my favorite headline post-election. President Biden, what are you going to change? Absolutely nothing.
No, nothing.
I'm good. We're good. We're good right now. Welcome back to the Andy Frey Show. We appreciate you being here. I want to direct you to today's YouTube live chat poll. Hannah's got the poll question for us, and we're going to go around the room here real quick and answer it ourselves and see what y'all had to say.
All right. The YouTube poll question is asking, where do you cast the most blame for the missed red wave? Poor candidates, Republican leadership, poor polling, or the media? What do you guys think before I read the results?
I'm going to say first, although really there could be a lot here. I'm going to say poor polling simply because I follow it so closely.
Polling guy.
And say that the most accurate.
So meta.
Yeah, the most accurate polls were the least accurate, and the least accurate polls were the most this time.
What?
Yeah, the ones that are rated well, they did the worst in this cycle.
Rated by who? Who rates polls?
Real Clear Politics and 538 both do.
So aren't they part of the problem?
Yeah. Well,
so according to them.
Well, over the last several
is the
cycles,
problem.
they say these are the most accurate.
Yeah.
And it's true. They were the most accurate, and these were the least accurate. This time, the top 5 were the worst, and the bottom were the best. So that's just the way it goes, and that caused a bad perception.
Brad.
I'm going to let the polling go. I am going to place the majority of the blame on Republican leadership.
Okay.
I think a lot of these other things fall under that. Poor polling, poor media, stuff like that. I think that the Republican leadership, through strong messaging, can counter bad media, can counter bad candidates, can get their message out. But they just didn't. They didn't do it. They didn't get their message out. They didn't. They did a wonderful job of talking about stuff that was like nerd level stuff. And then people go, well, how do you fix it? And they never laid out their plan for fixing it.
I'm going to say Republican leadership as well, only because I think that the messaging that comes out of politicians is so disconnected with the real world existence, the real world issues. And people say, how can you not? Gas prices, that's a real world issue. Grocery store bills is a real world issue. Your 401k is a real world issue. They are, but you have to connect the two. And the Republican Party is not fun. The Republican Party is not attractive. The Democrat Party by default is. I had somebody just tell me he's a Democrat voter on a regular basis, and he was talking about how much he was frustrated with the Democrat Party, but he goes, I don't want to support a party that wants to worry about who I marry. I go, which party that's not even a real issue anymore. It's not a real issue anymore. That has been decided. Move on. Like, look at the real world implications of voting Democrat versus voting Republican. All of the things that are actively affecting this person's life are caused right now by Democrat policies. When it comes to the economy, when it comes to raising kids, it's all Democrat policies, especially living in the state of Illinois, on the local level, the state level, and on the federal level, Democrat policies right now that are causing you the hardships that you're frustrated with. But if you're so still mentally wrapped up in the fact that the Republican Party was the party that was against same-sex marriage, Barack Obama was against same-sex marriage. Like, this is something that many people have evolved on over time, and politically and governmentally has drastically changed in this country. Imagine voting against your own interests because of something that the Republican Party hasn't been able to message over the last 10, 15 years. The idea that the stick up the butt, just old fart way of doing politics is the GOP the man who is the president of the United States right now and the leader in the far, far left agenda that is spending all of the money that your grandchildren don't even have yet is as old as they come and is as out of touch as they come. And the Republicans haven't gotten through that thick, thick skin that needs to be permeated so that we can get the message across. And Republican leadership on the whole has to get their act together. Ronna McDaniel, I played this clip earlier. She said there was a red wave. We are waving Nancy Pelosi goodbye. Knock it off. You've got to be kidding me that you're supposed to sit here and hear that from you and go, oh, no, Ronna, I feel so much better right now. Knock it off. Like, oh my gosh, I can't stand it. You got to get the message through, and whatever you're doing right now, it's not working.
I picked the media. I blame the media. I think everybody was too confident in the media, and they're the ones that portray the message, and I blame the media. I'll get to some of the comments before I read the final results. Vicky Long says, I blame all of them, but chose media as the number one. Bruce from YouTube said, the real reason was not listed. Donald Trump. He is too decisive. GOP will not be able to dominate again until he isn't divisive.
Yeah,
sorry.
That's okay.
Until he isn't the narrative. Doug from YouTube said, I think Republican leadership is partially to blame, but like Tucker pointed out last night, there's basically one cable channel and smaller outlets that let Republicans get the word out. James said, I said Republican leadership because of poor messaging and not motivating voters to turn out in bigger numbers.
I want to push back on what John said about there's only one cable channel. If you are thinking that the cable channel is the way to get your message out, that is a problem from leadership because there are several other platforms you can get the message out, mainly social media. Anybody can have a voice on social media. A good social media presence will defeat that.
Robert Murray from YouTube said, definitely party leadership. Mitch McConnell and the Rhinos have to go. John Piaz from YouTube said, I vote for the media because they inflate and deflated what they want in stories. Brandon said, I blame Wiggins for the polling. All of it is Wiggins' fault.
No.
You know what? I'd turn that back on Brandon and say it's all Brandon's fault. Don't ask me to back that up. I'm
Let's
just
go,
going to say that.
The polls say.
Yeah, the polls say it's Brandon's fault.
Douglas Dial from YouTube said, I voted poor candidates, but that actually falls under poor Republican leadership. Let me get to the final results here. So once again, the question is asking, where do you cast the most blame for the missed red wave? The options are poor candidates, Republican leadership, poor polling, or media. With over 220 votes, the final results are in that Republican leadership is where people cast the most blame for the missed red wave. Second is the media with 33%, then poor candidates with 16%, and poor polling with 8%.
Ooh, only 8%.
Ryan voted for polling and it lost. Ryan's like the only person who voted for polling.
I think that just goes to show that I guess polling was fine.
I don't know if this proves in some like all the way roundabout way that you were really right or like really, really wrong.
Well, I mean, according to the poll today, the polls were fine.
Yeah, but you were wrong.
Very meta.
I'm not sure whether we can trust this poll about the polling or not, though.
This is completely not scientific.
If I trust any poll, it's the Annie Frey YouTube poll.
Yeah, I trust you folks. Thanks for listening to us today. The Mark Reardon Show is going to pick up right here where we leave off and catch Tyrus, Erica Conway-Harris, and Hans von Spakovsky as he recapped what's going on in Arizona and Nevada. It's all going to be on the Annie Frey Show podcast, which you can download each and every day. We'd love for you to subscribe there, and also the Annie Frey YouTube channel. We'd love to be in connection with you as many ways as you deem worthy. Thanks for being here each day with us on Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk, 97.1 FM Talk.